Welcome back to Rome, Fate of an Empire. After my last game with Augustus, I was thinking about how to continue, what to do next, if I change the leader or what mode I want to play. If you haven't watched the game yet, I would highly recommend to watch that first. The Augustus game on Expert, so Rome number 4. So this time I decided to do something different. I'm staying with Augustus because I do want to see how far I can push the limits of this game. For this I've laid out all the edicts that are in the game. There are 10. And I'm not sure I fully understand the design of the edicts, so how they compare to each other. Or if it's just meant to be a mixture of difficulties just by the chance of which edicts you draw. I think there are roughly 3 categories of edicts, as I see them so far. They are the ones like Glory to Rome, they're all on the full edict side by the way, that have a requirement that you might want to achieve anyway in any really good game where you are escalating, where you're snowballing, where your engine really gets going. It's 5 level 2 developments, that's a lot, so it's nothing you like almost always naturally achieve probably. At least I in my games didn't need to, but it's part of the point of why I want to do something different this time. So you didn't need to, but I don't think it would be a big deal in 4 rounds. So fulfilling this edict does nothing compared to difficulty. It's just something that you want to do anyway because it's good for you. The same is with the Virtuous Emperor, where you have to max out 3 of your tracks. Again, if you're building that many level 2s, you're probably also maxing out 3 of your tracks. And 9 Advanced Attributes cards is, as I mentioned in the other games, nothing really that hard. I do think paying 1 gold for 1 card is just far too cheap to not have at least 10 cards in your deck at the end of the game. I am thinking about, but I do not want to do this now, that I actually flip this, because I do think having the attribute cards cost 2, and there's no way to get it cheaper, and then up to 4 might balance this a bit better. And then on the other hand, having the development cards go down to 1 might make it much more strategic, because those you do not just want to pick up because they are there. Attribute cards, there's almost no downside to picking them up, just to clear it out. But for developments, that doesn't work like this, because if you put in the active area, they cost gold. If you put them into the deck, they waste space. So, and you cannot just build all of them. So I do think flipping this makes much more sense. I was thinking about if I got that wrong, but I do think the card here, no matter if it's horizontal or vertical, it should really clearly indicate which side is what. And definitely the developments are here and the attribute cards are here. So I don't think I got it wrong, but I do think flipping this might actually balance the game a lot. So again, this is not something that you have to take care of. So it's the second edict that you can just like toss in, and it doesn't have any impact on you whatsoever. Then the commerce, having at least 4 active lasting agreements. Again, this is why I'm sticking with Augustus, because I think with foreign trade it's really not a big deal. Active in my book means that they are still paying you. It doesn't mean that they are turned to the other side. So yeah, if only this side would be active, this would be much harder to achieve, obviously. But I do think having them running, and from the rules I understand that they pay you as long as they are active. So as long as they are not ended, they are still counting as active. And that should not be a big deal. Augustus starts with 3, with 1 stability where you are at 4. So again, this is something that I want to do anyway. That's nothing that I have to pay for, which I didn't want to or something like this. And you have to have no more than 2 loans in your deck at game end, which again is something that you probably can achieve quite easily. I hope so. So this also has not much impact on your game. Then there's the Defend Rome, which means defeat at least 5 enemies. And again, maybe it's Augustus, but I do definitely want to kill half of the enemies. Usually I kill much more. So this is nothing that I have to like go for specifically. But it adds 1 specific thing that doesn't gain me anything and I have to do something. So that sets it apart from these 3. Because I have to defeat the barbarian army. So I have to do 1 conquest that doesn't give me anything, which is just a check basically. With very high values, but again, hopefully at least in round 4, so that is nothing too fancy to come up with. Then we have these 4 edicts that require resources of you, and I think that's quite a difference from those, because this you have to play for, you have to pay them, and you don't get anything from this. So this is really like a stark contrast to them, because if you do not pay 17 stone, you will not fulfill this. And here it's even worse, it's 21 food, it's 19 iron, or it's 19 water. So this is something that you really have to pay something for, so it's nothing that you automatically get just from playing well. Developing all territories along the southern border is something that mildly means that you have to play for this. In my setup, unfortunately, there's a lot of trade deals, so I have to build over them. But if I start them in the 1st or 2nd round, they will expire long before the 4th. So again, shouldn't be a big deal. And if I'm going for 4 full rounds, I almost plaster the map with developments anyway, I think. So having like 5 developments here doesn't sound like a big deal. Clear out all the strife cards from your deck by game end is a limitation. You have to really take care for this. to not pick one up in the last round, for example. At least 8 developments not adjacent to capital. Again, if you are playing well and it's escalating, then it shouldn't be a big deal at all. Build 4 developments without using cards. Boosted action, that's something that's, I think, fairly trivial as well. Maybe Augustus again helps with this because of Agrippa developments cost 1 point less. But there are so many developments that cost like 4 or 3 or 5. So even one card might even do it, or 2 cards if you play them. So you have to do that 4 times. That's probably something that you have to do in the beginning of the game, because otherwise the developments, especially level 2s, will be far too expensive to not build them with any boosted action. So that might be a mild inconvenience. So we could even move it here to set it apart again. That is a slight escalation, but it's not something that like really makes you work around something. But again, these 4 all add something to the game that you need to pay, which doesn't give you anything. If you get a good engine by round 4, you might be drowned in resources, so it might not be a big deal still. But this is where it gets a bit tricky. It might be delusional. And then we come to the last 2 edicts, which is the Great Fire and the Debt Crisis, which play around strife and loan cards. And I think these are actually a big deal, because these really hinder you. These don't do anything. They don't give you a specific task that you do not want to achieve anyway. So just by playing the game well, you will fulfill them anyway. These you have to play the game well, but at any point you can do something to fulfill them, but they don't hold you back. And these 2 actually actively work against you in the beginning of the game. For example, by placing strife cards as fires that you have to put out, so you're not getting the resting bonuses until it's developed, and then it's too late. So it's actually disabling some cards. It's starting your deck with strife cards, and you're picking up more strife cards, which you have to then get rid of. So you can't get as many strife cards as you usually would get. And the debt crisis here gives you 4 loan cards in your deck, but you only get 2 gold instead of 8. And you have to pay back your debt, basically, which is 10 gold. So it's in the same spirit as those, but it's gold this time. And you have to pay back these loans, which if you paid them normally, that would be 12 gold as well. So with the 2 you get, that's 20 gold over the course of the game that you have to pay back, especially if you combine it with something like this. So these actually make the game harder for you right from the start. So I think these 2 are really different from all the rest. So from you will achieve them anyway, to at some point in the game you have to do something, to they're actively hindering you and so have to do something. So this is what I don't understand about this design of the edicts. Depending on what you draw, your game might be widely different in difficulty. And with this deep dive into edicts, at least as I see them by now, I do think I want to try the following. I want to get rid of those, so of the hardest ones. That might be cheating, of course, yeah. Well, I'm playing a non-standard game mode anyway, so I would call that custom, what I'm doing right now. But I want to get rid of these that are holding you back. And then I probably want to try 8 full edicts. This might be insane, just to point it out. I might be completely delusional here, but I do really think the only thing that I might not achieve in a 4-round game, as I see the game right now, is that I might not come up with all these resources. So there might be 1 or even 2 edicts I cannot fulfill. But the rest, I don't see the problem really, so I don't see why I wouldn't go for an 8 full edict game. Again, as pointed out in the last videos, I have played Rome much, so that's my 5th game then, once I start this. But in the other 4, I did some mistakes in the beginning when learning. Then I had, I think the 2nd or 3rd game already was almost error-free, but not too many people have actually watched it and maybe taken the time to check if I miss any rules. I do feel I have a good grasp on the rules, but it doesn't mean that I'm 100% certain about this. I've read the forums a lot, I've read the FAQ, I've read the manual at least 2 or 3 times. So I do think I have the rules down, even to some corner cases, but I still have the feeling that I'm missing something big. But what can I do? I currently think I know what the rules are. Please correct me if you find something, especially in my last videos, that I overlooked that makes the game much harder. But yeah, without further ado, I think I want to go for this setup here. I have to figure out where to place the edicts to not waste that much space. And we have to talk about the glory points, of course. But then again, usually glory points were not a big issue, and I haven't played a full 4-game round, so I have no idea where I will land. And I'm not sure if setting an arbitrary goal here makes much sense. My gut feeling would probably say, let's just take the sum of the 4 highest ones. That would roughly be 25, 20, and 2 times 19. That should be something like 83. But again, my gut feeling says that we should probably round it up to 100, just to like go through the thingy here twice. But it's just an arbitrary goal, so let's put it to somewhere between 83 and 100 and see how the game goes. It's not like I can't set myself like a valid goal that if I don't match that I will fail or something like this. I mean, from the manual the highest difficulty there is 2 full edicts, 2 partials. So if I'm going for 8 full and I'm just doing 6, for example, that would still be huge, of course. Yeah, so let's just see what happens. I do think I will compress this at least, but maybe those that do not need any markings, I can just fold together anyway. So the 4 lasting trade agreements is something that we have to mark once it happens. Actually, this is something we do not need to mark. We will know how many I defeated, so maybe even swap those. This is something that we really have to track. So this is the first one that's really important. And these, once I start paying them back, I can put them out, but otherwise they are not that important anyway. So I probably make 2 piles. And I think the 2 things I should really track is 4 active lasting agreements at one time and the 4 developments without using a card's boosted action. All right, so this should give us enough space. Then we have our deck, which is already shuffled. Maybe before we draw the first hand, we should look at the map and the offer. As I already said, there are a lot of agreements on the southern border where I want to build, so I should really get them going, so they're expiring so I can overbuild. Then I want to have a look out for these on-development bonuses that give resources. So there's 2 water here, a gold here, and then 2 iron, 2 stone, 2 food is here. So that might be something to go for. So get into this corner first. With Augustus, you have the Civil War, and it's always good to have at least 1 food, so you can actually pick up the loan. That's also something that I'm a bit torn about, that the downside card of Augustus really is a way to get an additional loan in the beginning of the game. It's actually quite good. You don't need the influence on the capital to pick up the loan. You pay 1 food, sure, but you just pick up a regular loan, and it's usually something you want to do because you need gold anyway. So it's not a big deal, actually. It's actually almost an upside. And at the end of the game, if you really have a large deck, discarding 1 red card, if you have a huge hand limit, is also not a big downside. So yeah, maybe Augustus is just overpowered, I don't know. So, but that's that. There's a lot of deals, obviously, where there's still contention, but fortunately there's not much territory to actually free up something. For example, these on-development bonuses are actually all in the open. That's quite lucky. Yeah, so we have to see where to place things, but this is something that I should probably go for right away. That's also something that if I get a watchtower, something like this would be good, but there is no watchtower in the opening offer. Speaking of the offer, there's banking, right as the first card. It's probably not that good of a first card because the basic ability means that you put it in the project area and you have to pay a gold right away to actually get it going. So at first you're at -1 basically. And while it's there, if your leader is on a space that costs industry, once a turn you may spend 2 industry to gain 2 gold. This card is card at the round end. So if you stay around with a development that costs industry, that would be the bridge, for example. That's the only one that we currently have. You could get a lot of gold if you play industry cards, but I don't think that's a good idea in round 1. First, I have to place that, and I don't want to probably, so I can't even do that. And even if I do, it's 2 per turn, so it doesn't help if you have large industry cards. It's just 1 card, 1 gold, which is not bad, but you don't have that many cards. So if you start tossing cards for 1 gold each, you can't do much else, and you want to really play your cards for the boosted action usually. So I don't think that's a good idea, at least not in the beginning of the game. Returning 1 loan, on the other hand, from your hand or discard pile the cost of 1 is a net gain of 1. So basically, for a stone, you get a gold if you also take a loan. Paying 1 gold to gain 8 industry, of course, is a huge deal. Yeah, so I do think the card is worthwhile, especially later to pay back loans, but I'm not sure it's the best card to pick up right away. But since it's at 1 spot, again, I don't like that. This doesn't incentivize you to cycle that. If they would both be 2 gold, then I would probably not pick that up. I would probably cycle that, and it would really cut down on the cards I put in the deck that might actually balance this whole advanced attribute thing. The Siege Tower is a military card in the beginning of the game where you do need conquests. It might be good, but it's just 2 and 4. There's no improvement on the military. And trashing cards of the deck, I'm not sure. Again, it might be a bit early to start with this. You can trash loans or strive cards, of course, but in the beginning of the game, you won't have them in your hand anyway. Social Event is a good culture card that might come in handy, especially if you're trying to build the level 2 culture buildings, because you can use movement up to a certain extent as culture as well. So the card alone gives you 10 culture if you power it and spend 6 movement. The 10th Ladder is a good card for Augustus because of the technology. It gives you a lasting deal and can double as culture as well. Finally, Hot Oil is also a military card, really nothing different than any other starting military card basically. It's just 2 and 4. And you can gain a strive to push it up to 9, which is good. Actually gaining a strive to later pay it back with culture, it might be a play to actually defeat the high enemies. As for the developments, we have the Mausoleum, which is a dirt cheap development, which only costs 3 culture. That's one that we can actually use for fulfilling this. And it gives a population and stability. Stability gives me my 4th trade deal, which is good. I'm not sure I need this in the first round because I probably can't make that many deals. The population is welcome because it starts me on a way to maybe tax later. The bridge is good for movement, but only if you move away, so you always have to move back to benefit from it again, and to influence you have to pay a stone, but you can produce 2 iron. So basically it turns 1 stone into 2 iron, and these 1 to 2 conversions are part of your potential engine, but you do have to re-influence it all the time, which if you go back might actually be something that you want to do anyway. So end your movement there, re-influence next turn, then with safe passage move away again, but you really have to move a lot to make that work. A single farm probably doesn't do much for you. It gives you wisdom, 1. You can spend industry to gain food, but only on influencing. And selling crops with a single farm doesn't do anything. The gazebo I really like. This was the MVP of the last game, and for 3 culture, it's one of the developments that helps with this. And it can stay influenced, so with a leader that doesn't move much, you probably do not want to go there all the time to re-influence it, so you can leave socialized influenced, and then you can convert 1 to 2 twice per turn, which is a resource engine. And later in the game, if it's adjacent to level 2 development, you can convert 4 same type into 2 gold instead of 1. So I really want to get that. Finally, the armamentarium is a military that gives power, which does not increase the hand limit right away, but again, it's welcome. And you can discard a blue card for 2 water. Again, I'm not that fond of turning cards into resources, especially not in the beginning of the game. And discarding a green one to get 1 food sounds just extremely worse. If you build it and leave it influenced, you can once a turn gain military equal to your population, which is 0 at the beginning of the game. If I built a mausoleum, it would be 1 at least. Yeah, but I'm not sure it's too useful. Alright, so I think the map's fairly good. The offer here is okay, I think, but nothing too fancy. The developments are a mixed bag, but I probably start with the mausoleum and I want to go for the gazebo. But I think we should get going, so we are in round 1. I forgot to put a cube there. And we start with turn 1, obviously. So all we are left is dealing our first hand, so 5 cards. We do have a discipline. That's the red card. That's not military, again. It's a wild card. We have to discard another card, and depending on the color of that card, you get military or something else. A chariot for technology. That might give us a short-term deal or good movement. A show force. Now we are talking about military. A curalia, which is an industry card. The powered version is probably nothing we want to do in the beginning of the game because it would not fulfill this. And an engineer that can actually help with building, even if not powered. Especially, we did not get any of the special cards of Augustus and not a civil war. That's good because if you draw it right away, you have to pretty much pick up a loan for just 1 gold net positive. But it's the starting hand. As usual, we want to influence the capital. Why not? And I do think I want to spend it right away to gain up to 2 loans, which I will definitely do to gain 4 gold. So we are up to 7, and these go into the discard pile. So I do think I want to build the mausoleum right away. If we get access to a food deal, we can conquer much easier. It has good stats in the sense that it gives population and stability, and it would be possible to just build this for 3 culture now. As said in the beginning, I also have my eye on the gazebo, which is just 1 gold difference. It also gives stability, so it also gives us the 4th trade deal, and I could start with the conversion, especially if I build it here. I will get 2 water, which I can turn into iron and stone right away. The problem is that I would need 2 culture. Well, it's actually cheaper, it's not a problem, and I do not have culture cards, so I probably have to use this, but I can't pay a resource if I don't have any, because you can only substitute resource of gold for powering cards. I do not want to power. If I'm building these easy developments, I really want to get these 4 going here. So we could get the resource by building something else here first. So the question is how to approach this. And we should also think about scouting enemies, so we can get gold from those. I think that's our best gold source in the beginning. If we do not want to put a lot of loans in our deck, we already have 2. And we will get a 3rd with the Civil War. So I do think I might actually go for a short-term deal, even though long terms are much preferable. And we don't have that many technology cards in the deck actually. But if we use this, for example, with a gold, we can get 4 stone. The 4 stone can then be used to actually pay for something like the gazebo. And overbuilding this will give us the token back right away, and we don't need it like back right away. But this would also set us up on the path to these resources here. So I do like that a lot. So I do think I might go for this. Put this short-term deal, get a 2 stone, use a stone to get 2 culture instead, and probably play a card face down, so I get actually 3. I did boost this card then, but I don't think this triggers this, because it should only depend on the cards I'm using to actually produce the resource I need, which is this then and a card face down, so these are not boosted. And I probably build over right away, because I do want to influence this to activate the ability here, that for food I can get 3 military, and I do see the first 2 enemies. I can then build a gazebo over here, but I would have to influence it also. My point is that I do not want to move a lot. And if I place the developments here, well, actually it's just 2 movements. So if I play this turn, it's just 2 movements to get back to the other one. Maybe I'm using this trade deal here. It also gives me 2 resources right away for 4. So this will still work. It's water. And if I then go for the gazebo right away, I can place it here and I have 4 water. This allows me to get a lot of iron or stone, which is also good to power the military cards. I would have to develop over this territory then, so I'm not going for this route right in the beginning, which does open up a gold cashback, so to speak. Yeah, but I do think no matter what I do, I want to start developing stuff, and it's culture buildings I'm interested in. And if I start with the gazebo, I don't have to play a card face down. That's the point with this here. But I should really get food as well. But I'm not sure I want to squander a food deal. There are 12 deals in total. If I do long running, they take 2 rounds. But even if I have 4 long runnings in parallel twice in the game, it's just 8. So there are 4 that I can just use for something else. So maybe getting 2 food and 2 water is the way to go. But this is the only long running food deal that's actually open. The other 2 are here, which could mean I should go here first for the conquest. The reason I want to go here is that it's water, and with the gazebo I need food and water, not stone and iron. I get these by just using the gazebo, because otherwise I could just develop these 2. I can get food by resting here, but it sounds like a dead end. I do think I should buy the banking and maybe cycle the siege town with Maceralia so the social event comes down, which does allow me to get more culture easily without boosting to buy the other building. But it would be in 3 turns. And we do only have 5, so that's halfway through the game. Maybe going for the gazebo early is not that good. Well, it allows me to get the resources I need. If I want to power these cards for battling, and I should battle, I do need the gazebo, more than a mausoleum actually. So maybe it's just the gazebo I'm building for the time being. But if I'm building this here, well, there's no need to. Maybe I go here after all. There are some nice resting bonuses if I defeat them and stay there. Here's just 1. Well, there's just 2. Actually, yeah, there's 2. Yeah, there's no haste to overbuild this. Okay, so I do think I cannot hold on to the technology to get a long-lasting deal, because I do need to start with any resource production. So I do think I pay a gold to power this for 4 technology. I'm putting this here to get 4 stone. Then we are ending the agreement right away. So it's flipped now. Then for 4 gold, which brings us down to 2, I get the gazebo. It's more costly due to Agrippa. But when building a development, pay 1 of any resource to gain +2 to the needed attribute. So I'm paying a stone and I'm getting 2 culture, and 2 is actually enough. So I can build the gazebo over this, which also gives me water. So it's 2 water. This takes care of this card, and we do have 1 development without using a card's boosted action. I was just clarifying that this actually works, because the FAQ specifically says that even cards that indirectly help with building are disqualified. But the example says if you play a card that means another card gives you 1 more AP, then it indirectly helped. But if 1 card that I boosted gives me resources, yeah, so I did a trade deal to get resources, I think that has nothing to do with building. That I then use the resources to power this. If this also counts as indirectly, then pretty much the whole game is indirectly. I think it should qualify. All right, but it leaves us with these cards. And I do think I should pay a gold to pick up the banking. And I should play 2 industry to cycle the siege tower. Although it does allow us to trash cards from the discard pile and the combat card. Yeah, but I do think I want to bring the others down. So I'm cycling this. And I think I actually leave it at that, because I do not want to move away, because I do want to re-influence the capital probably before going away. And I do need to start socializing right away, because I don't have that much water anyway. Without another source, it's depleted quite quickly. And I've played 3 cards. With a deck of 16 cards and 5 turns, there's roughly 3 cards per turn, a little bit more, especially if I'm buying. But I started with 3, I think that's okay for the time being. So I think I'm ending the turn here. I did actually miss that I could use this with 2 more industry or even 1 card face down to initiate a long-lasting deal. I will probably do that. But I do think the first turn was still good the way it was, because I have to get going with the developments and with this kind of engine. All right, so I'm ending the turn. So this goes back to my supply. I'm replenished the market, so the social event is now the cheapest card. We do get a wine merchant, which is a good industry card, but I'm not that interested currently. And the Show Mercy is a culture card, and again, I'm not that interested, which is probably good, because if I pick up all of those, it's already almost end of the round. And there's an obelisk, which is a more costly level 1 military building that gives stability and power. And once per turn while influenced, you can pay a stone for 2 iron, or it can improve the production of water of an adjacent building. But what I do find interesting that it's a 1 to 2 conversion, but only once per turn. It can help with building developments. -3 to the attribute, to the military attribute requirement. So it's an accelerator for military buildings, which probably isn't that helpful. I think I want to stick with the mausoleum for the time being. But we are drawing then, and we will get the banking, of course. An onaga, which is technology, which would be good, or a little bit of military, but I do think I should get a trade deal going, and a physician, which is a little bit of culture, or also technology, and especially since I have water, that might be quite interesting as well. So that's my hand. We are in turn 2 now then. We have no active projects, no active deals, so we are back to the actions. So I'm thinking that I should probably, well, first influence the capital, of course. I have 3 influence, so there's no reason why we shouldn't do that. If I play this, I have to discard something, and maybe the banking is something that I want to have later, but repaying alone is currently not a good idea, and I don't need 8 industry. So this, with the iron I could get with influencing the gazebo, would be 5 technology. We have another 2 that's 7, and it wouldn't cost us a food. Then we have to move at some point, so I probably want to use this to move, even though it gives culture, but we do need 3. So, and we do not want to power it, and it would cost another card. So maybe this is what a social event is for, and we would have a combat card left, which is probably good. I'm not sure if we can defeat anything, but we will see. So I probably want to go to the gazebo to influence it. So technically that's the first thing I want to do. I can then get the iron I need to power this and this later using the socialize. And if an enemy is easy enough, I can move on. This one would be preferable because it also gives iron, and defeat this and pick up a deal in the meantime. And it's definitely a food deal because we don't have food. It's what we need for Civil War. It's what we need for the technology cards. It can be used for socialize, so that's what we want to go for. And it's running for 2 rounds, so in the corner it's probably a good idea anyway. And we want to pick up this card, so this is this gold here, which we don't need for anything else. I think it looks like a plan. So we play the physician for movement and pay 1 movement to go to the gazebo. We then see what the enemies are. So there's a harder one, total 10, and this is a 6-0 enemy. We definitely influence the gazebo. We turn 1 water into 2 iron with socialize. We then pay an iron to power the discipline, discarding banking to get 5 technology because it's not a red card. And with these 2 industry, we have 7. Technically, we could play any card because we only need 6, but I don't think I want to pay any other card. So we can get a long-lasting deal here, which gives us our first food. And I do think I want to move on because I do have a movement point left. So just to be efficient, move here. Then I do a conquest, paying an iron for 4 military. Actually, I can't defeat it for strife because it's not an attack, it's defense. So I can't actually do that. That's sad. That's sad. Okay, so I do still have the movement, and I can't defeat it because I'm 1 short. We did play 4 cards already, so it's okay. I could use the influence now to produce a stone, stay there, and then re-influence it next turn. Or I could move on to not have to move next turn, maybe. I will actually see more enemies. But I will not get a resting bonus until I have defeated this enemy. But we are definitely picking up the social event. This will help us build the mausoleum next turn. Actually, we do want to move then anyway to bump this up to 3. And since I'm only getting 2 move points, I will have 1 left. So I will be able to move anyway, which is, I think, a reason to stay. Use this influence to get a stone to produce. We hold on to this card. This will be cheap next turn, so we can get another lasting agreement in the turn after that. And we will build the mausoleum, but we need gold for that, which we can get by conquest or by picking up loans. But I don't need to do that now because I do not want to re-influence the capital anyway, because this would mean that we have to move back. I do think I want to leave it at that, not use the influence on the capital, not move on because of the reason with this. I don't want to use the second socialize because I don't have that many resources here, so I can do that next turn. We are not using this movement point, but the card is definitely played nevertheless. But I think that ends my second turn. We do get this influence back. The 10th letter is now cheap. The hot oil is actually really interesting because 9 military is exactly what defeats this with Agrippa. And there's the Mancio, which is an industry or a military card. But boosting cards that are played face down I'm not that fond of, because I don't want to, basically. I usually want to play the cards for what they do anyway. Usually that's more efficient. So we draw, which is the social event, of course. An orator, probatus, which is another military card, that's good. And another show of force. Okay, so a lot of military, something to build, and we need a movement card anyway. Still no civil war. So we are in turn 3 of 5 now. No active projects, but we do have a food deal, which I like, so we are at food 2 now. So we definitely influence the gazebo right away, since we are already here. But the question is still how we distribute these actions on the 3 turns that are still ahead of us, including this one. And these are all even numbers, so there's no sense in going here, because we will overpay, and the hot oil is just far too good. Which probably means that we have to buy this now, then we can buy this, and then last turn defeat this, so we have to loop around for the last turn to defeat this enemy. I think that's the most efficient way to do that. This is a lasting deal that you can do next turn, which pretty much means that we should defeat this now, but it will be inefficient as well. And if we are moving, I'm tempted to also just build right away, which doesn't mean we need to buy the mausoleum or the bridge. And well, I wanted to build a mausoleum, and I think I still want that because it's population and stability, which is both quite helpful. And it's a cheap building. And if I get around to influencing it, I can then use food from my deal to help in conquest. That's also nice. But I can't do it this turn. So I do think I should move here, maybe rest there, then overbuild, influence, and go on. But then I need the gold from somewhere else. Well, I get 2 gold, but I need 3 to build it. So I'm probably using the influence on the capital to get more gold. I need a gold for this anyway, yes. So I do think I need to play this for movement. Use it once, go here, which reveals this and locks this in. There's another 6-0, okay. And there's one that's also 6 in total, but we could get strife. But I am tempted to just power 2 of these and play one normally. That's 10 military to just defeat 2 of them. I think that's totally possible and completely reasonable. So I do think I want to use the socialize with a food to get 2 iron, then pay 2 iron to get 8 military and 2 more to put it up to 10. 5 defeats this enemy because of Agrippa, which is no glory but 2 gold. And then I use the last movement point to move on. And I can defeat either of those, but I want to loop around to this at the end of the round. So I think I go up because there's also a resting bonus. That's my reasoning here. So I use this to move here. There's also a stronger enemy and another 6 total strength. And with the 5 remaining military, 1 defeats the enemy because of Agrippa, and the remaining 4 defend the attack of 4. So that's 1 glory point, so we are finally at 1. Actually, we forgot, again, the instant bonus of the gazebo, so we did not give us the stability, which gives me another trade deal capacity, and it did have 2 glory points, so we are at 3 now. Alright, but that was the glory, but we do get 2 gold, so we are at 4 now. And I have to be careful to not cut my first round short. So I have 6 cards left. I'm in the 3rd turn, so I'm drawing once. If I'm leaving that card now, I will draw 4. Then I'm in the 4th turn, and I can draw and have a 5th turn, that's it anyway. So I could even play the last card. Well, I definitely want to pay a gold. That's out of the question to not do that, to buy the tanned leather. And next turn I want to buy the hot oil, so I will buy cards anyway. So let's plan in the other direction. Do I actually see all the cards? 4 now. Then I will have only 3, so I could get up to 2 cards and still see them all. I think that's fine. I don't think I need to rush anything, because I did spend the 2 movement points, so I don't have it left anyway to build it now. And there's no reason to buy it now. Well, it would cycle down, but to what end? Alright, but I do not want to play this. It doesn't make sense. I don't have movement left. I don't need to spend my gold now. I don't want to spend the capital influence now, because I will not be able to re-influence it anyway, so I can do that next turn. Gazebo is also out of reach, and I want to keep it influenced and socialize to use it again. Again, I don't have that much water and food, so I don't want to do that as well. So I do think I'm ending the turn again. I get a resting bonus of a stone. I don't have any spend influence, but the hot oil is now the cheapest card. There's a battering ring coming up, which is a military card that gives you stone if you have strife cards, but I'm not sure this is good, because I usually don't have them in my hand long. I never did the festival because you would have to collect them. Maybe with a hand limit of 8, that's something that you could do. So we draw, of course, the tanned leather, which is our deal. The Princeps Civitatis, that's really nice. That's the other Augustus card that allows us to pick up any card for 2 gold and gives for industry, so it's not an or. The Civil War, I think, is almost good to draw, and a Senator. So we don't have any red cards, so we do pay a food to power this. We ignore the basic action. We take a loan and get the 2 gold. I think that's, again, almost a plus. So this was the draw. And then we advance the turn cube to turn 4. We only have a hand of 4, unfortunately. And there's nothing actually that we... Well, actually this card is a blank. Okay, we can move. That's good. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We do not have active projects, but we do have the food deal, so we get our food back, basically. All right, which brings us to the actions. And we definitely want to get a deal. We have enough stone, and we could get any building, even the obelisk if we want to. But I do think we probably have to use this for movement. Cycling a card is just so good, and especially since you also get the industry to cycle more. So you can cycle everything up here, even 2 of those, and any card, so even one of the lower ones. And face down, it doesn't do much for me. So movement. This turn I will not battle, definitely. And then last turn I want to go here, so I do think I will spend a movement to go here. I will then finally buy for 3 the mausoleum. I think it's good to have. Costs 3 culture, so I'm using this and spending another movement to have an unpowered 3 culture, which is enough to place this. If I could influence this, this would be nice, but I do not have that much food. I will not even have food left this turn, so even if I place it here and influence it right away, I would not even be able to pay this unless I'm using gold to power this. But +3 is something that, again, this turn I won't fight. I'm tempted to put it here to get the trade token back and get into this area here. And this will help with the conquest on this side, so it will just not help with the conquest here. Yeah, I think I want to do that, so I'm getting this back by placing this here. This time we think about the immediate bonus. It's 2 glory points, it's a population and another stability, so we had 2 here. And we did build another development not using any boosted action, which leaves this, and I'm paying the food to get 7 technology to get the lasting agreement. And I do think I want water. I do think I place it here because it makes it likely that I can overbuild. Actually, the southern border was something that I need to overbuild. But I do think water and food is quite important with the gazebo to just multiply what a deal gives me by 2. So I do think I want them both anyway. And I have 7 now, so I think I'm using the 7 for this. Maybe I can get another deal for 6 later. So I do get a water right away. I definitely want to pay gold to pick up the hot oil. And as we calculate, I could even buy another card if I want to also have that. Otherwise I will have only 4 cards. But I could also just hold on to this, which I should probably do because I will get gold next turn due to conquest. So no movement left. I don't want to buy anything more. I don't want to play this. It's 5 cards in total. I could use the socialize now that I have a water deal going, but it feels like it's not necessary. The question is if I move this way next turn to defeat this. If I don't have any other military, then I can re-influence the gazebo. But if I can come up with 5 more military, the burning oil will just defeat this anyway. I could also go here. So I'm not sure and I don't want to risk it and just to get 1 stone. So again, I think I'm leaving it at that. That's my 4th turn. I do get a resting bonus of an iron. I don't have used any influence. We replenish the market. At that point, I don't think it's that important. At least I'm not seeing me picking up these cards here. But maybe we reveal something that we actually pick up with Princeps Civitatis. I don't know. There's a water wheel. That's actually a technology card, which with water gives up to 8 technology. That might be good to pick up, actually. But let's see what we get here. This might be something because it's so expensive. It's the last turn that we want to pick up, even if we are not building it right away. And it's a Popina, so it's 2 capacity. I haven't played that yet. It's a culture building. To influence it, you must pay a gold, but whenever you gain any amount of gold, pay 2 same type resources to gain 1 gold. So it's a 2-to-1 conversion into gold. That's huge. Usually it's 4-to-1. And with something like this, with the stone that we do not need, that's actually quite nice. And it's also something that you do not want to re-influence all the time, so you want to have the influence just sitting there. But let's see, that's the refresh. So we draw the hot oil, of course, a pottery, a merchant, and a physician. So it's almost all blanks, which might be good because we do want to move anyway. But it also means that we will not battle any other enemy. But we might even be able to play the Popina. Well, without boosting, we would have to use all of them. And that's probably not a good idea because we also want to move here. But let's see. And it's drawing. So we are in the 5th turn now. So the last one of the first round. No active projects, but 2 deals now, a water and a food. And I do think I want to play the hot oil, definitely. So 9 military will just be a clean kill on this, which means that we need something to move to. We should think about if we can actually build something. We can definitely not build the military buildings unless we are using the hot oil for this. There might be a world where we only use 5 military on this enemy and have 4 left. which would build us the armamentarium, which once per turn gives us just a military point because we do have a population. And if we ever get more population, it will be even better. And it gives us power, which makes us work on our hand limit. So I'm liking that, but the movement would kind of be wasted to just only move there. But it's 2 gold instead of 3, that's not a big difference, and we could use the hot oil for something else. The farm I'm not interested in, which leaves industry and culture, but a bridge I'm not that fond of, so maybe it's the Popina after all. It would mean that we have a capacity of 3, well, of 2, but it's 3 movement then, which I didn't have yet, but it's welcome. And we would have to influence it once and never look back basically, and from that point on we can convert resources to gold. That might be good. And we don't have to play it without boosting. It's just good that we can advance here, but we don't have to. Because there are cards that actually give a lot of culture if we just boost them. Actually, just these 2, for example, with boosting this would already do. So this to buy it, this to move, this to play it. Yeah, it sounds like a plan actually. Actually, powering this will also give us 4 industry, which means that we could also build a bridge. The gold would not be a problem because we do get gold from there. That brings up to 4. That's only 2. That's 2 left. So we need 1 more gold, which would even be something like this. It's just that it's somewhat of a waste to not use this, but bridge is even more capacity. And I do think we need the wisdom, we need the power. Stability is actually okay where it is, and the population maybe, so capacity again is maybe not well, we are playing 2 already if we build a Popina now, so I think that's more than enough for Augustus. But 3 is nice, it's 50% more basically. So yes, I think I'm playing a stone to play this. Purchase any card from either market for exactly 2, so it bypasses the City of Marble to pick up the Popina. And I do think I want to build it now before even moving to already use the capacity here. So we do want to use this for movement. We use a water for 4 culture, 2 culture, that's 6. We only need 6, which means that we can build this. And the thing is, I want to influence it, and so I do have to build it where I'm standing. Let's get the 3 glory points first and the 2 capacity. So now actually we are playing this for movement afterwards. That was the whole point. So we're getting 3 now. We do influence it, but we have to pay a gold, unfortunately. So it's an investment at first. We now move once, twice to this enemy here. Pay 1 iron to power this. Gain a strife. So we are placing that on the discard pile to get 9 military. 5 defeats this, and the other 4 will block the attack. That's 2 glory points and 3 gold. That's that. And we do have a movement point left. Actually, since we have gambling, whenever you gain any amount of gold, and I think the only time you're not gaining it is on exchange, but we did gain gold from the conquest, pay 2 same type resource to gain +1 gold. So we are paying 2 stone to get another gold. That's the whole point of the Popina, and then now it paid for itself, basically. But the question remains what we do with the last movement point. And I think the options are to move to the enemy. So we are in place for next turn if we want to continue with the conquest. Or if we move to the gazebo to now get a stone and then re-influence it right away on the next turn. Which would also give us more option to, for example, switch sides, so to speak, to go to the mausoleum, influence the mausoleum for honor the fallen, and then do the conquest here. Which does mean we have to come back later. But 6 is an awkward number anyway without any support, because it's just 5 for Augustus and there is no 5, and I can't use this strife to just defeat it, as I already found out. So I do think I want to go here. Do we want to use the ability once before we spend it? So the socialize. Maybe it doesn't hurt to turn the water into 2 iron. Then spend this to produce, get another stone. We did use the last movement to move back. That's the last card. We do have a lot of gold, but I don't want this card. And paying 3 for the water wheel, I don't think that's a good idea. The bridge, the farm I don't want. So maybe the obelisk is something that we could use. So it's once per turn stone to iron, or if we place it here, it could even increase the water production of the Popina if we use that for water. But then again, I do not want to re-influence it to get more water, so it's probably pointless. I don't think I want to spend the money here at that point. So I don't pick up anything, I don't have movement left. I don't want to use this influence. On the capital I don't want to use it as well. I think that leaves nothing to do for the first round. And we get this influence back. We are standing on it anyway. We are not replenishing the market, not drawing a new hand because it's the end of round anyway, because we are now on the first space, or on the space with marked with 1, which means that we are doing the end of round instead. I think shuffling I again want to do as the last thing. So we are advancing the round marker to round 2 and reset the turn marker. Then we cycle all of this. Maybe that's the first time I do want to be strategic about this. So I'm leaving it at like this, because these 2 cards could actually be interesting, if nothing else, for the military here, for stone, which is good. So I'm leaving it like this. And there's a fur trader, industry or culture, not bad. Musician, readying influence is good because it means that you can spend that stuff even if you're not there and then ready it to not lose it. Patrician, it's a high culture card but costly. Portable abacus, that's 2 technology or ready to influence, that's really good. And a catapult, I love the catapult. Unfortunately, it's in the space 5. So we cycle these as well. We will not see them again, so there's no need to be strategic. So there are barracks, power 2, that will level us right away. And we can turn 2 iron into 1 gold, twice per turn, that's nice. And we can use this influence if we spend it to turn culture into military. It's just a solid building, I think. There's the watchtower, that's even better. But you already used that space, unfortunately, but maybe this space or even that would be good. So it's also 2 resources for a gold. But of course the MVP here is the Vigilant, which disables attack. For some enemies that's just a huge deal. There's an aqueduct. Producing food, again production without having a way to remotely influence is not good for me currently. 2 technology and a food for gold, and losing influence is not that good. There's a farm, that's a blank almost for me. And a villa, that's population. It's an industry building. And paying a water or a food to gain 3 stone is nice, but it's a ability again where you need to be present because you need to spend the influence. Alright, but that's the cycling. Exhaust or expire active trade agreements. Exhaust means flipping it, but it's still active, so it's not expired yet. But it's it. We have to shuffle still and then draw a first hand. Maybe we should have a quick glance what we have. So this confuses me because I did think I cycled that, so it should not be in my deck. Maybe I placed this wrong. I have to look that up. The hot oil is really important, of course. A loan, another loan. Social event, so culture card, a good one, especially with the capacity. This will be even better. A strife. The banking we picked up. The tanned leather for the deal. The civil war, another loan. So we do have a few loans. Actually, just 3. So the first 2 we picked up from the capital and 1 from civil war. So I do have to look up what's up with the siege tower and fix that. Yes, so I looked it up and I just tossed it on my discard pile instead of cycling it. I was so in thought at that point if I want to use this card or not, that I didn't really pay attention on the actual cycling, but really on if I want to do that or not. So I just put it on a discard pile. It's just in the deck now. I haven't used it, of course, so I just put it into the deck here. And looking from the cards here, we have the Show of Mercy, the Battering Ram, the Wine Merchant, the Mancho, the Water Wheel. So we have to put it here. All right, so good that we looked at this. So let's now shuffle this again, so you can see what our first hand actually is. That should be enough. So we still draw 5 cards. A Physician, starting card, a Civil War right away, Banking, an Engineer, and a Loan. So maybe not the best starting hand, but let's resolve the Civil War first. So we pay food to use the powered version again, which does mean we pick up a loan, but we do get 2 gold, and in the first 2 rounds that almost is quite welcome with Augustus. I think it's not a really big deal. But we are bogged down by this now, so actually building the barracks sounds more and more interesting because of the power. It's 6 hand limit right away, and we have a gold conversion from iron, which is good because we can produce iron from water 2-1. So actually, if you want to put it like this, the water deal will give us a water, 1 use of socialize will give us 2 iron, and the 1 use that we have, actually it's twice, but okay, with the barracks, we can spend it for gold. So if you have another deal, at which we actually have, so you could put it like this, these 2 deals produce 2 gold, and we don't get any resources, which might be bad, but again, it's a gold source, so we might not have to play as much loans or strife this game. So this looks more and more interesting, and the spending this to actually have a good military round by converting culture is also quite interesting. But before we go on playing, this was just drawing actually from the round change. So we have to go through the active projects phase and check agreements, and this is where we actually get a food and a water. So this was our income, and now we have to play a very short turn with 3 cards basically because we have a loan here. We could actually repay that with banking. That might not be the worst decision. We still do not have a space that costs industry because we have built only culture buildings so far. If we use the villa or if we build the villa, that would be possible to do, but I don't see me lingering at the villa just to every turn pay 2, which is a card again. I'm not fond of this actually. So we either toss this or we pay back a loan. I think that's what we do. This would actually be a way to build something, That's 6 military, this would 4, we would have to spend the other 2 face down. And we would not move this turn. Let's start by influencing, I think. Well, actually, maybe not. If we build something, we might want to influence something else, but not if we are not moving, of course. We could use this to get 8 industry, which builds us the villa, even with 6, so that's 2 left. That could be used to cycle something. That's also a play, but the villa costs us 5 gold to even acquire. And it just gives us 2 population, which in the immediate future is not something that helps us a lot. Actually, we did again get gold from a loan, which is not an exchange. So the Popina triggers the gambling. So we can pay 2 same type resources for another gold. I think I want to do that. And I'm paying the stone to get another gold. So we used gambling on getting the loan. This is not restricted to once or twice per turn. It was not technically in our turn, but it is an influence ability. Well, we definitely have to influence the gazebo, otherwise we cannot even use this ability here. So I don't think there's a way around that, and we want the Popina to be influenced to have the gambling, which does mean we actually either stay here or we move to the west side, I think. And I do think I want to influence the mausoleum so that per conquer action we can get up to 3 military. That should make it easy to conquer all this. This could build us the villa right away. And I'm tempted to just buy the barracks and put them either in the active project area or in the hand. But I think I'm playing too hasty. We have 6 turns, we are in the first. It's a short one. But I don't think we need this. That's my point here. So I do think I pay a stone and a gold to just return a loan from hand or discard pile, since I have it in hand anyway. Let's do this. We can't influence the mausoleum this turn, and with 3 movement we can actually move through. We really need more wisdom to get more influence. But it would mean farm or aqueduct, which I'm not fond of building actually. I don't think I want to linger here, so I do move. That's 3 with our capacity. And I'm using 2 movement to go to the mausoleum. I would probably just stay there, but I don't think it's a waste because we do have a lot of cards, and playing 4 I think at that point is a good average. So let's see what we have here. 7, 2. That's 9 combined, 8 for Augustus. With 3 from the mausoleum, that's 5, not the best value. And for 3, that's 7, 6. Yeah, it's easier. And still 3 gold, that's a really good enemy. But I want to stay here to be able to influence it, which means I'm using this on the capital. I don't think we want to do a festival soon or tax soon without population. So I do think I just pick up another loan to not have it wasted, and the gold is always welcome. I just paid 1 back, but this just means that the card, the banking, gave me a gold for a stone basically. Yeah, so I'm staying here, but that's it then for this turn. But I do want to think about buying, and I have the catapult in mind. With 6, that's actually just defeating this without even paying the food, because we don't have that much. Just from the space where I'm currently standing, I don't even need to walk there. And I think that's just far too good to pass on. So, and I don't want to wait. If I buy something here, it will just be 1 cheaper. So yeah, I'm paying 3 to get a catapult. I'm also paying 1 for the fur trader. I think it's good to make the others cheaper, and it's a solid card. So I definitely want a catapult, but I will see both anyway. So there's no need to order these. I think that's enough. Those I can buy once I build them. The catapult will also just build the barracks, to point it out, but I do have the engineer still. So I think that's it for buying. I do have a movement point I didn't use. I don't have a resting bonus, but I will get that influence back. That's important. I'm replenishing the market, so the musician, which is good because it's running an influence on development that provides stability, which is any of these 2. So I could actually use the walls, for example, even if I'm not there, and then ready it again, which is huge, I think. So there's a textile merchant, which is a huge industry card, and the oxen, which does allow to do trash loans in a certain amount. We have to take care of the pile, but trashing 2 is just, even if you just play it once, and it's and technology, so it's a huge card. I think I will want to pick that up. But that's the refresh. Then we draw the catapult and the fur trader, then Mercuralia, which is almost a blank, but we do need movement maybe, and the hot oil right away. That's interesting. So advance the turn cube to turn 2. We don't have active projects, but we do have agreements, which is a water and a food. We did not use the socialize again, but I don't think it's that important. And we are in action phase now. Actually, we did get gold from a loan again. I did not use the Popina, but I don't think I want to do that. If between the turns it was actually not possible because on influence is only possible during your turn, then I could have done it now. But it's not restricted to the own turn. I think I could have used it again, but we don't have that many resources yet, and I think I will get more gold by conquest, for example, so there's no hurry to do that. Alright, so I do want to influence the mausoleum. So now the Honor the Fallen is active. Once per conquer, we can pay food for 3 military. And I do think I want to do the easiest thing first. Maybe with the catapult, just kill this. But we could spend a food to come up with 3 military. That could help building this. So if we power this, for example, without a strive, that would be enough to actually build this. But we could also move on and kill this other enemy. That would also be possible. And depending on what these are, we could actually build a watchtower here. That would nullify the deal, but we don't have to do all the deals. And I think with this, actually, the water and food deals are much more valuable than the other two. So we do need a combined attack of 6 and 8. That's 14. This is the 6. This could be the 8. But then again, if we use the Honor the Fallen at least once, 6 and 5. If you use it twice, it's 6 and 2 basically, which would be this without even powering it. But food is more valuable than iron, as I just said. But what about the barracks? So we could kill this for 3 if we use the Honor the Fallen. We would not need to boost it, but I want to because it's 3 more military. We need 6, that's 3 more. We could play this without boosting and just 1 card face down, but it would not be building a building without using a boosted action, because this boosted action definitely gave us the 3 military, so this is, even if it's indirect, it's definitely would not count. So we want to finish that before we go to level 2s. We have 3 development at this point, and 5 developments is enough to swap to level 2s, and we want to do that. So we should have this done before we go fully into level 2s. But I do want to buy the barracks and the villa probably, or even the watchtower and the barracks. Actually, that's the point. Maybe the barracks first is not even that good. Maybe the watchtower first is the way to go if it helps with these enemies. So we should really know what this is. So I do think I want to go there maybe. If we want to build them both, it's just 11 military, and we do have 4 here. So there's obviously a lot of options of what to do. I'm not sure how fast to proceed actually. Maybe we should slow down a bit. But getting the power, actually getting power will accelerate a bit because I'm drawing more cards. So I have to keep that in mind as well. I think I want to use 2 water for 2 stone, actually 4 stone, just to get the socialized out of the way. Because if we are triggering gambling, we'll need resources to trade in for gold. And for some reason, I do think I want to move and not just use the catapult now. But maybe that's too fast. I could defeat the enemy on the other space, the adjacent one here, with the powered version, but also paying the food from Honor the Fallen to have 3 military left. This could give me another 2, that's 5, which allows me to build a watchtower. But where would I actually buy the watchtower? If I place it here, it's just 2 attack each that are being ignored. It would be much nicer to know what's actually here. So this is why scouting might be good. If I knew these 3 enemies, I could place the watchtower more strategically. But I shouldn't also overdo it with this. Maybe placing it here is just good enough. I mean, it's 4 attack that's being ignored. It's a gold on placement. Yeah, it has to be good enough, I think. So we are holding on to this. On the other hand, this could actually be interesting to build a lot of military. Because with a stone, I can boost 2 other cards for free. So I don't need the iron. So it saves 1 resource. But I can only build with them. So we could even use these. I don't think I can still use this ability here. That's the problem. And this is just too good. But that would bring it up to 13 if I want to. And I would need 11 if I want to build a watchtower and the barracks. That would actually leave a card to move if I want to. So maybe I do scout first and just use this to move, but it's an advanced card. Then again, I'm not sure if this is actually useful. It costs the card itself and saves just 1 resource. That's pretty much a resource. It would just save me the food, but I could just, well, I don't even need to boost this because this is already 11. That's enough to build both. So yeah, this card is actually not useful because I don't even need to boost this. So I'm tempted to use this to move and just scout and have an informed decision on what to kill and where to place the watchtower, which is pretty much here or here, I think, because it has to be adjacent to any of those I already have. Actually, the watchtower could also be placed here, which disables this 5. That's actually quite interesting. So we could kill this enemy, buy these 2, that's 6 gold, and play these 2 to then play them both, but neither would trigger this. That's the problem. I wouldn't need this. I could hold on to this if I use this in the powered version with a food. Food is quite a precious resource, but then again, I should probably get a second food deal, and it's exactly what I'm opening up here. And I have to slow down a bit then. Alright, so I've used the socialize, the gambling I must not forget, and the honor of the fallen I want to use now. Okay, so let's use an iron for 6 military and a food for honor the fallen. That means I have +3 in a conquer action. So 3 is actually enough to kill this, and the 3 here from honor the fallen will disable the attack, and I can attack an enemy which is adjacent to my leader, which gives me a glory, 3 gold. I'm paying 2 stone with gambling to get a gold. This takes care of this, and I have 3 military left from the catapult. I then pay another iron to gain 9 more military, that's 12, but I do get a strife card. And I'm paying 6 gold, so I'm down to 2 to get the barracks and the watchtower. And this costs 5, 6, that's 11, I have 12, so I can build both. I place the watchtower here, which is 3 glory and 2 power, which brings my hand limit up to 6. And I will put the barracks here for immediate placement bonus of 2 iron, which gives me 4 glory points and another 2 power, which brings my hand limit up to 7. At that point I really have to remember to play slow to not exhaust my deck. This doesn't progress, unfortunately. I'm tempted to buy the portable abacus right away to get a guaranteed lasting deal next turn. And if not, it's just readying an influence, which would also be quite welcome. But I do think I should not play so fast. But then again, I'm just saying this and playing a card right away. But I do think I want to use this for 2 industry to cycle the patrician, because it's nothing I want to pick up. Paying gold for even more culture. It might be good for the level 2s, especially since I have already placed military buildings, but I'd rather pick up this. This could also produce a lot of culture. So I'm cycling this. This allows me to pay 1 gold to pick this up, with the idea that abacus is now 1 gold next turn and the oxen is actually coming down quite fast, so it's already at 2 then. So I'm holding on to these 2 cards. I don't have any movement anyway. I could exhaust this because it's pointless to keep if I'm staying here, but I'm not doing an exchange. I don't even have 4 of a single resource, so I'm just producing a stone. But I think that's good enough. I don't get a resting bonus, but I do get the influence back. Replenishing means the abacus is now 1, oxen is now 2. Shepherd is an industry movement card, and the Roman concrete is another technology card which is good for Augustus. But these also come down now in price, and the villa specifically, that it's just 1 gold less. And we do have 5 developments. But I do think I want to stay with level 1 for now to actually finish this card. So another obelisk and another gazebo. That could actually be quite nice. Stability is good, and having the conversion be 4 times per turn, and it's trivial to build. I like that, but I can't really pay it for now because it's 5 gold. Yeah, but it was the replenish, so we draw up to 7 now. So we unlocked that we have a choice of what we want to play. So it's 5 more cards. Musician that we bought, a merchant, starting card. The tent ladder, so that's also for ongoing deals. Another physician, also a starting card, and a discipline, which is the wild card. That's nice, okay. And we advance the turn. So we are in the 3rd turn of the 2nd round. No active projects, but we have 2 deals, which is a food and a water. And I think we can now get more deals going. But one thing that's noticeable is that we have a distinct lack of military. So unless we are using the mausoleum for +3 and the watchtower, for example, we cannot really do conquest. Funnily enough, this will defeat the 2 enemies because they don't have any attack and they have only 4, Agrippa has 3, so the mausoleum will defeat them. So we can actually do conquest if we go there with 3 movement. That might be a play actually. Actually, we have to activate the watchtower first, so we can't do it like this. But I think the first step is to pay food, power the tent ladder, get 7 technology, which is any trade deal we like, and we pick another food deal. It's just far too good. We get 1 right away. So that's nice. The question is now we get gold for the moment because we can't tax yet. We don't want more loans and we would have to go to the capital anyway. Conquest is not good with the current hand. So we could go to the barracks and turn iron into gold together with gambling. But that would exhaust our influence, so we can't influence the mausoleum. This is what tempts me to then try to build a farm and the aqueduct for the wisdom to get another influence token. But it's 2 buildings that all need technology, and we do want to spend technology for trade deals. And just 1 wisdom won't do anything anyway. The interesting thing of the barracks is that it actually allows me to convert up to 5 culture to become military instead. So if I influence this to use quarters twice, but then spend it right away, I could get 5 military, but without the mausoleum I can't get the other 3. And movement would mean going down and 2 up, so I could only reach this unless I'm moving again, and it requires 8. So we're really lacking the influence currently, that's the problem. But we don't need to do it in this turn, but we won't get the influence back if we don't do it this turn. We could just build the villa this turn, but if we use this, it's again not helping this. But maybe we can then just tax to get some gold. That's probably a good idea, but we need to get a gold first. So I do think I want to move with the merchant. Actually, I already forgot again that this can give us technology and industry. So that's already 5 technologies. So another card face down will give us another deal. I'm tempted with this water because we do need to have them run out so we can actually build a southern wall. And this will really help with this conversion stuff to get even more income. So at that point we had 2 food to water. That would mean discarding a card, which is not red, for 5, and another one face down, which is probably a basic physician. At that point I've already played 3 cards, so I could even take it slow then. And I think that's nice. I will get this, but maybe we then have a chance to actually build these 2. But I do like this far too much. So this is a good use of the cards, I think. That's an iron. 6 technology. We do have a token left over, which we place here for another water. I think I will then use this socialize, and for 2 water, get 2 stone and 2 iron. I think I will not move then to not play another card, so I will influence the mausoleum, and I will spend it for the waltz ability. After taking the exchange action, gain 2 resources of a different type than those used for the action, but the same type as each other. So I will exchange stone for a gold, and I can get 2 other resources, which are then water. So I get the water back fully. I cannot use the gambling, unfortunately, at that point. And I do think I want to pay a gold, definitely, to pick up the portal abacus. That was the plan. And maybe we just leave it at that. We do have 4 ongoing trade deals, so we have fulfilled the commerce, just to point that out. So we do not get the resting bonus, but we do get the influence back. We replenish the market, so the textile merchant is not down. The oxen is at 2 still, and the legionary comes up, which is nice because if you play other military cards, you get boosts. That's replenishing. We then draw up to 7, which is 4 more cards. The abacus we just bought, the show force, a social event, a lot of culture, and a princeps civitatis. So this allows us to pick up the gazebo, for example. We advance to turn 4 of 6, so halfway through round 2. No active projects, but we have agreements to water, to food. So we had 5 here, 4 here, and we can play again. So we do need wisdom, otherwise we will be starved for influence. That's a problem. So I am tempted to actually build a farm in the aqueduct. To get another deal, we would actually need 1 more stability, which is the obelisk. That would also max out our power. As for conquest, we do have the show of force, which is 4 military. So I do think we want to influence the mausoleum to get the honor the fallen, and then just kill this. So I do need to play a card for movement, unfortunately. Yeah, so at that point I do have quite some analysis paralysis again, but I do feel like I have a lot of good cards and I don't want to squander them. But I do think I have to let go of, for example, a culture card, because it's currently not what I need. So I'm playing this for 3 movement, spending 1 to go to this enemy, reveal this and this. So quite easy one and a medium one. I will pay 2 water to get 4 stone. So I'm using the socializer right now, so it's done. We then pay an iron to get 4 military and a food to get another 3, that's 7. 6 defeats this. 1 is a partial block, so we get a strife card for this. But we do get 2 glory, 3 gold, and we pay 2 stone with gambling to get another gold from the Papina. At that point it's far too tempting to not pay 2 gold and a stone to power this, and with the 2 gold pick up the gazebo, which we then just build, so 2 would actually be enough, which is another building that we do not build with powered action, and we put it here for an immediate placement bonus of a gold, which does mean gambling can give us another gold. We do get 2 glory points and a stability, which gives us another trade deal. At that point I should be slower again. We have to look how many cards we have and how much I'm allowed to play if I want to have all the turns of this round. So it's 10 cards and we have to draw 2 times. That should be possible, I think, which is why I think I should just pay a food for the portable abacus to get 7 technology again to actually place this right away. I do think I want to place it here because I want water and food deals to run from the 3rd turn into the 4th, so the remaining 2 once I've liberated them. So I do need to pick something else, but maybe I should have the long running deals here so I can never build there, but I have to build about the southern wall or border. But I do have 7 and there's only 6 deals here, but it's not important if we waste that point, I think. But let's just get an iron deal still, because I do have the barracks that can turn into gold. So I get 1 right away. And I do want to use my movement to move on here for 2, so that exhausts this. And I can use another food, because it's once per conquer action, and I'm conquering, to get 3 military. It's actually enough to kill this. Actually, the watchtower is not yet influenced. I'm always forgetting this. So let's get my food back and go back. So I have 2 movement left, and I don't want to buy anything yet. Actually, I do still have 4 industry, because I powered this to buy the second gazebo for 2 gold only. So I do have all industry left. I think I want to use that to actually cycle things. I do want to cycle this. The oxen becomes cheaper, and this is an industry card that I currently do not need. So I could cycle the obelisk or the Roman concrete. The obelisk is really nice, but it did just place another stability, so it's not urgent to have that or the power. So I think I will cycle this as well. So this is taking care of this. So I have 2 movement, and I still have the problem that I do not have the influence to also influence the watchtower, for example, without letting go of either the Popina, a gazebo, or a mausoleum. I'm not prepared to do that. So my hope is that I can now draw level 2 buildings that give me 2 wisdom right away, so I don't need to build these. Otherwise I will probably build these. So where do I want to go? I'm probably scouting the enemy, so I know what I'm up against. So let's move here. Actually no, let's move here, because if I'm staying I might defeat this next turn with just 4 military without any aid and just get the water as a resting bonus. So this is a 2-4 enemy. Would have been nice with watchtower. I think I will actually just stay, as I said, because just 4 military will just kill this. So I'm using the last movement point, and I'm not buying anything more. I think I'm playing fast enough, so no resting bonus, no influence I used. I've already made the gazebo exchange. At least I think I did. I'm not sure, it's hard to keep track from turn to turn. Let's say I've done this already because I don't want to look it up. So we replenish the market. The oxen goes down to 1. It's the most important thing. And there's the ballista. Military, which is increased by wisdom, which I don't have currently. But now I want to place level 2s here. There's a forum for industry that gives capacity and an amphitheater that gives stability for culture. So probably not what I wanted, but the spectacle of the amphitheater is really our way to accelerate resource growth, because up to twice per turn we can pay 1 water to gain 3 stone. If it's adjacent to development, it provides population, which we should have. So it's here. Yeah, so there we would have to build over one of the trade deals, unfortunately. Let's see. That it was replenishing of the markets. So we draw a new hand up to 7, so 5 cards. A show of force, that's nice. So that's exactly what we need to kill this. A senator, orator, a strife, and a loan. And also just to check that, we do have 5 cards left, so we have to play at least 5 to draw all of them. But it was drawing, so we advanced the turn cube. So it's the second to last. The last will be on 1. No active projects, but active agreements. Actually quite a lot. So it's 1 iron, 2 water, 2 food. I'm feeling quite good with the ongoing deals. And then we can play actions. So I think I'm doing the socializer right away. Again, with 2 water, we get 4 stone. So we have all the resources available. I do think I want to play the show of force for 4 military. That's enough to kill it with 3. We don't need the mausoleum for this. And the 1 left over will block the attack. So there's no glory, but 1 gold. And we can pay 2 stone again to use gambling to get them more gold. We definitely pick up the oxen. That's a 6th card on the deck. So we have to pretty much get rid of almost everything. We could make a play where we use this to draw a card that we buy, so we can use it right away. I do think from the cards that are still in the offer, I do want the villa because it's 2 population, and getting population up is probably a good idea. So I'm tempted to just play this. These 2 cards would be unamplified already 4 industry. But again, we could make the play with this and, for example, pick up the shepherd. But we could also play this in the last turn. But I think I'm just paying the 4 gold to pick up the villa. Maybe that's too hasty. Let's get the 4 gold back and put the villa back. Because I do think I want to play this now to just draw the oxen. Because I know it's already on the top of the pile. Because this gives me 5 technology. That's actually enough to build one of those. So I'm paying this to power this. Then I'm paying 3 iron to trash up to 2 loans in your hand or discard pile. So I'm picking 2 from the discard pile, which means I have to trash 2 more. So that's 4 that are gone, going to the trash bin. And with the 5 technology I'm having, I'm building a farm for 3. So that's 5. I only need 5. And I'm putting that here to get 2 food immediate, 1 glory point, and 1 wisdom. And that's the oxen then. And I think I'm then tossing these 2. So these are just going to the discard pile. But to draw 5, I need to play another card. And I do think I want to play this for 2 industry and to cycle a card. For 2 industry, I think I'm cycling the shepherd. And I think I'm cycling the Roman concrete as well. Because I have so many technology cards already that I'm not sure I have a use for them, but I do want this military boost here. Alright, but that's it then. I do get the water as a resting bonus. I have no spend influence. Replenishing the market. So that's the art. That's unfortunate, unless we pick it up. It's a really good gold card. The Imperator is really nice. And the bathhouse, which is a huge culture or industry card. And I do want to see another level 2. We're just a Castra, so military building that gives power. So probably good that it's out of the way, so to speak. So we draw. Since we have 2 cards in hand and a 7 hand limit, we draw the rest of our deck. Alone, a Chariot, Onaga, Probatus, and a Pottery. So a lot of starting cards. We are on our last turn of the second round then. And we do get 2 water, 2 food, and an iron. And this is our last turn then. If I want to battle this enemy to get a lot of gold, I would need 5 military if I don't want to strive. So that's this card and maybe another one face down. I do need to move. Then I'm tempted to build the aqueduct with the cards I'm having here. So the loan is actually not helping. It's probably something that I can just discard. So if I don't want to pay anything, I can just play this face down. That's 5 technology that would build the aqueduct. But we could use this then face down and have the... Actually, no, if you want to move... I was thinking about moving to the gazebo. So if the influence we get to also influence this, so we can get this conversion going, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 movement we need, and we only have 3. So if you use the chariot, it would be 4. If you play this card for movement, plus 1 movement, so 3 plus 1 is 4. Then 1 card and 1 face down to defeat. That means we need to pay a resource for 2, and it's 5 then. So for 3 gold, we buy the aqueduct. We pay a resource, let's pay a stone to get 2, 4, and 5. This allows us to build the aqueduct, and I want to have it adjacent to the farm. So I'm blocking this deal, unfortunately. But it's 3 points, it's 26. And a wisdom, this gives us our force influence. We then move here, so that's down to 3. Pay an iron, it's 5 military. 1 defeats this, 4 blocks the attack fully. That's a glory point and 2 gold. And I do want to spend 2 food to get 2 iron and 2 stone. Before that with the socialize, so I can pay 2 stone for gambling to get another gold. And I will pay 3 movement then to reach the gazebo and put my last influence there. So we can use socialize again. So this time I'm using 2 water for 2 stone and 2 iron. And the question for me is just, do I buy the villa, which costs 3? Again, I have no gold left. Or do I pick up the card here? And I think picking up the legionary is almost mandatory. It's just too good. The imperator is now out of reach. We could pick up the art. And maybe just leave it at that. I don't think the other ones are too important. And getting population would only be good for taxing, and I would try to avoid this. I have gambling, and I have some conquests coming, so maybe this is good enough. Actually, and we did just build the aqueduct without powering any cards. So it was with the basic action here, the basic action here, and a card face down, which does mean these are taken care of. So let's end the turn. We don't have a resting bonus. We don't get influence back. We could actually, well, this we should definitely get back, but it's not adjacent to level 2. So we are using this and getting this back, but we do get a stone. It's just 1 bonus stone. I'm thinking about if I want to skip that. I think we should do that. So we're also getting that back. We use the waltz ability. So we do an exchange of 4 stone for 1 gold. We get 2 other resources, which I then use to get water. So you always want to get back to food and water because of the gazebos we have. So we could build the villa after all, or buy it for 3 gold, or even the imperator. It's just such a nice card. Could give us military, could give us gold, but I think I don't want to overspend with gold. It's a precious resource after all. So let's just end it here. So replenishing we don't do, we don't draw, we would advance, but it's on the second spot then. So this ends the round. Again, shuffling I want to do later. It's a large deck by now. We have to look into this. But first, before we prepare for the next round, I want to look at the edicts again. So it's halfway through the game. So these we have taken care of. So this is done. And just to point it out, defeat at least 5 enemies. I have 7 here already. So I'm cleaning them up now, which means this is also taken care of. And the other edicts do not have anything to mark. So we can just at the halfway point say everything that has to be marked, without the resource of course, is marked. And the lower section we still have to do, of course. But it makes it easier to keep track of. So not more than 2 loans. Level 2, we need to start with this. Max 3 tracks and 9 cards. Then we have the resource cards and the battle. So let's make this like this. So it's a little bit more space, but we know what we need to do. So we are in round 3 now. We'll be in the first turn. We do cycle this. Not sure this is relevant at that point, but I do want to have the imperator and the art at the top. So the trade is huge. It's a huge card. It allows you to swap resource into others, which is good if you want to fulfill this. Longship is a good loan card. Another good military card. It's not that interesting, I think. And astronomy, which is also a gold card. But these are actually good cards to start with. So we have a level 1 then here, and the rest were level 2s. And I do want to refresh with level 2s only because we have to build 5. So we have a temple, that's stability and wisdom, that's good. The temple of Bacchus, which is 2 wisdom, which is even better. The Maison Carrée, which is also wisdom, and it's all technology. So it's good that we have the technology cards that we have. Another Castra for more power, and a Colosseum for 2 stability and a capacity that would max out stability, which is also quite welcome. So we do need our technology cards, but first we have to exhaust or expire trade tokens. So this moves to the center, this moves to the center, this exhausts, this exhausts, this exhausts. So we have currently 3 running then, and these we can now build over. All right, so let's shuffle and see what our first hand of the 3rd round is. Actually, let's look through the deck quickly. We do have some industry and culture. The catapult is really nice. 1 loan. Maybe let's quickly look through the loans. 2 loans, 1 strife, 2 strife. So 2 loans, 3 strife cards. So we have to really pay attention to the strifes because we have to clear all of them from the deck. But we will have the 4th round also to do this with culture cards. So I already started shuffling again. So let's have another look. These are all starting cards. So we can really influence on developments that provide stability, which is nice, which is also the temple, for example. We do have a good technology card, then a good culture card, the hot oil for military. We do still need to defeat those. Another technology. So this is the one we already looked at. Very good military card. Catapult we already looked at. So we have the oxen still, and we can still trash loans, which is good, which is also technology. Civil war, of course, and the banking to allow us to return a loan or pay gold for 8 industry. All right, let's shuffle. And we draw a first hand of 7 cards. So the catapult right away, nice. A starting card, musician, so reading influence, strife, loan, the card that we can use to buy anything cheaper, and attend leather, which is technology. But it's already 7 cards. No active projects, but we do have agreements, which is at that point, unfortunately, no more food. No, actually, there's a food. So the expired ones are 1 water, 1 food. So we have food, water, iron. So 1 of each. And now we're on the first turn. And I definitely want to influence the gazebo again. So now we can do 4 times socialize, which I do think means 1, 2, 3 water, 1 food to get 4 or even 6 stone and 2 iron. So socialize is taken care of. I do think I should use the watchtower now. I do think I have a plan. I think I will move with the orator for 3. So for 2 movement, I'm moving to the watchtower to influence it. Then paying an iron for 6 military with the catapult. And I may attack 1 enemy adjacent to my leader. So I can attack this. And for 3, I will defeat it. And the watchtower prevents the attack. So that's that. Let's resolve it later because I want to move on. And the watchtower prevents this attack. And with the remaining 3, military can defeat this as well without getting any strife. So that's the movement and the catapult. And I will get 3 glory, 5 gold. But I do still have gambling going on with the Popinas. So I will pay 2 iron and 2 stone to get 2 gold each. So I'm at 10 gold. I definitely want to pay 1 gold to pick up the Indo-Roman trade because it's just far too good to pass on. I don't think there's any hurry. So I could just hold on to the rest. But then again, the loan I do not need to keep in hand. The only reason would be to make me slower, but I don't think I need to do that. So I'm discarding this. I don't want to buy a building because I would need to build it right away, and otherwise it would cost me gold or block the hand, so I don't want to do that. I already bought a card here. I have no movement left. So I do want to resolve the resting leader action, which trashes a strife. So this from hand with another one goes to the trash bin. I could think about exhausting influence actually, and the watchtower is probably no longer useful. So I do want to use that before the end of the turn, which gives me either an iron or I can pay an iron in the water for a gold. But I do think I just take the iron because I have enough gold currently. This combination I definitely want to hold on to. So that's that. Replenish the market, which is Gallia, which is 7 technology of 5 military. Nice card. Nothing else to refresh. So we draw. That's 4 cards currently. The trade, the pottery, the show of force, and the civil war. Now I have to think about if I want to discard a show of force or if I want to actually take another loan, which I could not actually get all the money from. Yeah, I think I will just discard the show of force at that point. So we have these 5 cards, but I think these are nice ones. I'm starting with paying 1 gold to buy the longship. I definitely want that. Together with this, I will be able to build one of these nice cards here. Actually, we again skipped that we have to advance the turn cube. We don't have active projects, so we check the active agreements, which is iron, water, and food. So we already bought a card then as a first action, which together is 14 already, I think. So it's another, no, it's actually 12, which is nice, because I don't need 14. So we can't fight currently. So I do think I want to focus on these two here. The enemies we can actually get rid of, because I don't need to keep track of them anymore. Let's put the influence here. So let's start on these two, which does mean 4 iron and 3 stone to work on the first 2 steps. We then pay 2 food and 2 water to use socialize 4 times to get again 6 stone and 2 iron. I do want to pay a stone to just play this now, to pay 2 to pick up any card, but especially the 4 industry is interesting because it does allow me to cycle. And I do want to cycle this for 1 because I really don't want to build that. So that's 3 industry left. So I'm cycling the chariot racing for 2. There's 1 left, and then the astronomy. I do have an influence left that I want to spend somewhere. I do think I want to spend 3 gold to pick up the Temple of Bacchus, but put it into the hand. And I do think I want to play the Indo-Roman trade. There's no gain in waiting with this. So for 1 stone, pay up to 5 resource to gain 5 resource of any type. So I'm paying the 5 stone to get 5 water, and I'm placing this. And I think at that point I should leave it at that without having spent my last influence. Well, I could use the pottery to move, and I feel like I should do that, so that's 3. But I will just use the 3 movement to move to the mausoleum, put the influence there, but spend it right away. Make an exchange with iron, so I'm getting a gold, but I'm also getting 2 other resources, so I'm getting water. So this helps in the back conversion, because I have a 2-for-1 conversion in the other direction, and it also gives me gold, and I've used my influence. But that's it. I don't get a resting bonus, but I get this influence back, which is nice, so I've used it. I'm replenished the market, so this goes here. This moves down here. Public Appearance is a culture card. Ostia Antica allows me to ready influence or convert up to 4 pairs of different resources for 1 gold each. And then there's the Siege Tower again, so we are looping around now. This also refreshes, and we do get another temple, interesting. And the Pantheon, so that's 2 stability for culture, that's actually nice. But it's replenishing, we draw, so 4 cards. Longship, this is nice, we already knew that. A fur trader, a merchant, and hot oil, so a good combat card. We then advance the cubes, so we're in a 3rd turn, the 3rd round. And we do get our water from here, iron and food, and we can start with 3rd turn. So I do think I want to place this now to not have it linger too much, which means that I'm paying 2 food to get 12, 2 cards face down. Actually, I need only 1, that's perfect. So 1 face down, that's 7, 5 is 12, 13. I only need 13. So this is all taken care of. This has more effects that we need to resolve. But first we place this, and I think I'm placing it here, just for the placement bonus of 2 stone. 8 glory points to wisdom, which is another influence. We then move to the barracks, influence them, and to the temple to influence this, and then to move back just to get into position again. We didn't take care of the longship yet. We have to do that. So I think I do take a loan, gaining 5 instead of 2, brings me up to 9, and 2 stone with gambling brings it up to 10 again. So I'm fine with gold. I do think I want to spend 4 water for 6 stone and 2 iron. So these are the socialize from the 2 gazebos. So I've used those. I've used gambling, although I can use it multiple times. I will then buy the formation. I will then also buy the Gallia because I really need technology now, which does mean that I can pay 2 iron to get a gold. And since this is not an exchange, I can use gambling again with 2 stone to get another gold. I will pay a gold with the Temple of Bacchus to get 5 iron. I will then use this again, that for 2 I can get a gold, and for another 2 with gambling I'm at 10 again. I will pay the 4 stone here to work on the Roman wall. And I do think I want to, for 3, to actually buy the temple, so it's moving down and we see what comes up. I will just use this influence because I'm standing there for another iron. So no resting bonus, I do get this influence back. We replenish the market. So there's a water wheel, which now gives a lot of technology. And since we are currently having all these technology buildings, that's quite nice. This moves down, and the replacement is an Arc of Constantine, which is power again. And the ability of the conquest is almost useless by now. So we draw, again, 4 cards only. So we have to really pick up the speed here. So there's the Gallia, there's the formation, a physician, and another physician. But again, it's both technology, maybe that helps. We are in the 4th turn then now. We will have up to 7 in the 3rd round. And we do get our income, which is an iron, a water, and a food, and we are in the next turn. So we need 10 for the temple, and this together is 10. So I do pay a food and a water for 10 technology, which allows me to place the temple. I do think I want to place it here, so I can use the influence adjacent to maybe have a combo here. But first we get 5 glory points, is stability and wisdom. And we do get our 6 influence, that's so nice. I do think I want to influence the barracks because I'm already here. I do want to move, so I'm moving here for the first movement point, placing an influence here. I then pay an iron for 4 military, pay another iron and a food for 8 military, that's 12, and pay another food for another 3 of the mausoleum, that's 15, which defeats the barbarian army, because it's -1, so 9 defeats it, and 6 more, so a total of 15, blocks all the damage. So this is now also taken care of. I'm then using the socialize. For 2 water, I'm getting 4 stone. I then make an exchange to get a gold with 4 stone to get 2 water, and I'm using 2 water again to get 4 stone. I'm paying a gold to get 5 iron, and I'm using 6 of these iron to work on the Via Appia. I'm using the last 2 movement to go to the gazebo. I'm using this to produce a stone, and I'm using the musician to ready an influence on a development that provides stability, which is the location I'm currently at, and use it again for another stone. I'm buying for 3 gold, so from 7 to 4, the water wheel, because I do really need my technology. And that's it for the turn. So I do not have a resting bonus, but I do get these 2 influence back. We replenish the market, which just replaces this card here with the mine merchant. And we draw a new hand. This time we can draw fresh 7 cards. So the water wheel we just bought, a probatus starting card, show 4 starting card, social event, that's a culture card. A strife, that might be good with the culture card actually. Mercuralia, which is also a starting card. And a senator, so we are burning through our starting cards. So that's 7 cards. We are then in the 5th turn, and our agreements give us an iron, a food, and a water. And we are in the 5th turn of the 3rd round, of up to 7. I think I do want to influence the gazebo again. I do think we have 1 food. I actually want to get 6 technology to get another deal going, I was about to say, but I don't actually have 1 back yet, so I can't do that. We have to overbuild first. At that point, it might have been a mistake to just reveal all level 2 developments, because they are more expensive, and if you're only having like your standard cards that you start with, that's not enough to play them, of course. So the only thing we currently have is culture with 2 movement cards to actually come up with 6 movement. I have to play 2. I could come up with 10 culture, but it's nowhere near enough to build development of 19 or 16. Or I do have some technology, but again, it's not enough to even play a temple for 11, because it's only up to 8. And I do want to get me a deal, so I want to get a token back or just get the 6th one. So that's the conundrum of this turn, it seems. I do think what we want to do is at least pay a gold to pick up this card, which is another culture card that gives 2 culture for every influence development that provides stability, which is at least the gazebos, so it's already 8 more. So this will be enough to then play the Pantheon or the Colosseum. We would have the option to play the Senator, so other cards played face down provide 2 instead of 1. Of course, if you just play 1 other card, that's pointless. You could have just played both. But with the 2nd card you play face down, you actually get a benefit, but it costs a lot of cards, and it's obviously not combinable with this because I need to play 2 cards for movement to begin with. So I don't think it's in the cards literally to play another level 2 development this turn. So I do think we need to stall. We already bought this card here, that's good. The other cards are actually not helping because they have military or industry, which are both not the attributes that we need. We would need culture or technology. So the Senate is actually something that is useful for cycling because it just cycles a card regardless of its position, and you get another 2 industry to cycle more. So that's maybe something we want to do. I do think we should kill that enemy there, which is 5 military that we need. So it could be these 2 cards, for example, powering one of them. This and this we definitely want to hold on to. And we could actually trash the strife card by resting in the edge of the map. That might be a play. Actually, I'm liking that, which would mean that we are using this for movement. So 3 movement as per our capacity. We then start moving to the temple, because I definitely want to influence this. I then move on, it's another movement point. Pay 1 iron. 6 military is enough, even though we have Agrippa also. But doesn't matter at that point. I just don't want to pick up another strife card. That's no glory, but 2 gold. I think I do want to pay to stone to get 1 more gold due to gambling. But I should stop that at some point to actually fulfill all these goals, because gold is not probably the most important thing. At some point we need these resources. But then it makes sense to just move on with the last movement point, which doesn't mean that we can trash the strife at the end of the turn. And as said, we can probably use this to cycle. So 1 card we can cycle no matter the position, and we have 2 industry. This is actually interesting because it can allow us to have a chain of readying. So I actually want to buy that once it's cheap. So I do think I will cycle the siege tower. And currently I don't want these industry card. It might come back to bite me, but currently I really need other cards. So I think I'm also cycling those. So no more movement. Nothing else I want to buy. I can just buy that next turn. We are in the 5th turn, so we have 2 more. So I think I'm ending the turn. I'm not using any influence. Well, actually, yeah, we should use influence. What am I talking about? I just influenced the temple. Actually, we can't ready. We can just put influence. Well, nevertheless, we can take this from the gazebo because we can influence it next turn anyway. This would mean turning more resource into gold, which I do not want to do currently. So I do think I'm just using this to get a stone. But that's it then. So I'm resolving the resting action, which is trashing a strife together with 1 from the pile. So there's 2 more strife cards on the trash. We get this influence back. We replenish the market, which is just this card left. And so we are seeing old cards now. So another military card, unfortunately. There's a culture card. And it can trash strife from discard pile. That's good. Another culture card, which gives a lot of culture based on gold. That would be good. And a card that can actually produce a lot of industry. But that's replenishing. So we are drawing up to 7. So 5 more cards. More culture. We just bought that. Then the starting card discipline, the engineer, which helps building, the oxen, and banking. So 2 more loan cards. So that's 7 cards. We do have 6 cards in the deck. So if we played them all and bought 1, we could still draw everything. That's good. But we are then in the 6th turn now of our possible 7. And we do get our income, which is still an iron, a food, and a water. And we can play the 6th turn. So currently in our discard we have 2 loans. I put them to the top. So there's nothing else, no strife, no loan currently. So we can think about on what to build. And I'm eyeing the Pantheon because on influence or well influence it can place influence anywhere. That's really nice. And it has a really nice production of water, stone, and food, which is exactly what I have to produce. So with some influence loop you can actually produce this every turn. And it would give me more stability, which is the last trade deal, without actually overbuilding. So I could put it here so the temple can actually influence this. The culture cards I have are these 2. Currently I do have influence developments that provide stability in the gazebo. This I just took away, but I do still have the temple. That's 2. That brings it up to 8. The 4 here brings it up to 12. And I do need 15. It's 3 more. So if I spend any card for movement, I will have exactly the amount I need. This does produce technology, which I do need, but it's with another card, so I don't think that's a good idea. So I think this is the card I'm playing for movement. It's 3 movement, paying 2 water. Maybe we can optimize this. Let's think about that. I could influence the gazebo for 2 more points. That's not a big deal. So we almost do not need the movement, but I'm lacking a point anyway, unless I'm also using the engineer. Yeah, I do think I just want to do it as planned. So this gives 8, this gives 4 plus 3, so it's 15. And this is 16, so that would do it. We would play all these cards. We do need to spend 4 gold to actually buy this development. So we buy the Pantheon. And we are placing this here on the gold, or the mineral deposit that gives a gold. So we gain a gold, and actually at that point I'm paying 2 for gambling to gain another gold. So we do get 10 glory points. So we are at 53, so 50. And let's get rid of this. And 3. So this is fully done. So maybe let's put that somewhere completely different. Let's collect them here for a moment. Maybe just put it under the Trajan's Market. I think we can remember that we've defeated the hordes, or whatever it's called. Barbarian army. Okay, so we defeated that. We have to keep that in mind. But that was the 10 points. And we do get 2 stability. We can only get 1. This will give us our last trade deal. So I do want to play this for a food. That's 6, which gives us the food deal in the corner. And 1 food right away. I will definitely pay a gold to get this card, which comes on top of the deck, of course. So let's see. How many cards do we have now? We do have 7. So we would need to play everything else. I do think I should actually get my influence back, because all these abilities to influence adjacent or actually any developments, it's just far too good. So I do think I want to use the temple influence to influence the Pantheon. And while this is influence, I can influence anything else. This means that I can now remove influence elsewhere, especially from the temple. I don't think I want to use the barracks ability too much more, because I do need a lot of iron. So I do think I'm using this now just to get left an iron. But I need 1 more gold if I want to build a temple now, which I could exactly do. That's 4, that's 9, that's 10, and I need 10. And I can then also trash 2 loans, which is possible because I have still 2 loans on the pile here. And I do want to do this now because I want to get rid of all the cards so that I actually see the rest of my deck for the last turn. So maybe I should have used this before getting the iron. I would have had 3 before. So let's just do that. So I would have gone down to 1 and then up to 2 again. But I would have gotten a gold. So I can pay these 4 gold here to get the temple. Play 2 food to actually power these. This I play face down. I need to pay another resource. Let's say an iron. So that's 5, 9, 10. That's the temple. I can pay 3 stone to also trash 2 loans. So these 2 loans together with 2 from the pile, so there's 1 left, are going to the trash. This is all played then. And I can place the temple. And I do think I want to put it here even though it's costing me 1 water, which I won't produce, but it's almost ending. I'm getting that back. But now I can influence the farm, and with the aqueduct, once it's influenced, I can produce food later, 2 per round. So that might be something I need to fulfill this. So that's 5 points, 58. Stability and wisdom I unfortunately already maxed, but that's that. Now with the influence, I can go on and produce, and I will probably produce these resources, I think. I want to do that. That's a water, a food, and a stone. I think I'm using the socialize of the gazebo to pay 2 food to get stone. So 4 stone up to 5. I'm using the gazebo to produce 1 more stone. And I'm using the temple of Bacchus to produce a gold, which does mean with gambling, I can get another gold. That's probably all I should do this turn. So I could trash a strife, I don't have one, but I can remove or should remove all the influence that I spent, which is good because I do have ways to put them all back without even being there. So there's a stack of influence. Replenish the market means these cards move down. This moves down. And I could think about level 1s, but I really don't want to. So let's see more level 2. So there's a forum for 2 capacity, which is industry. And the Circus Maximus, again, industry for stability and capacity. That's the replenishing. So we draw a new hand. So it's exactly 7 cards. There's the readying, the chain of raiding, which we can use to our advantage, or we could get a lot of gold. The portable abacus, that's a lot of technology. I really want to build the Maison Carrée. A chariot for more strife, onaga, so it's another starting card. The legionary, military card, but not sure it's useful, and another loan. We advance to turn cube, so it's the last one, because next time we will advance on to around 3 space. So we are on the 7th turn now. No active projects, but agreements. And we do have a new food and an old food. It's 2 food. We unfortunately overbuilt the water. This is already done, so we only get an iron. All right. So I do think we use the legionary for movement, because we would have to move there to actually get the gold. So I do use the temple to influence the pantheon and the gazebo. I then use the pantheon to influence the other gazebo and the temple of Bacchus. I then use the pantheon influence to get a water, a food, and a stone. So I've used these once per turn abilities. I'm then using the socialize 4 times. Actually, I'm not sure I can do that because I do need food. So maybe I'm not actually influencing the other gazebo. Well, actually, I do leave it here because of the ability of Ostia Antica. But nevertheless, I'm using socialize to put 2 water into 4 stone. Then I'm using the gazebo. Let's say this was the one I used for socialize to produce a stone. At that point, I'm paying 10 stone to build the Roman wall. So that's done. I'm using the 3 movement to move to the Pantheon. I'm using the influence on the temple for a stone and an iron. I'm using the influence on the Papina to produce, let's say, a water, and a gazebo to produce a stone. And I'm using this card, starting from the space your leader is currently on, ready any number of influence, as long as the next one ready is adjacent to the previous one. So I'm readying this full chain of influence. I'm now using the other socialize, which I haven't used yet, to turn 2 food. No, I can't. And I still need the 3 for these cards. So I'm using this influence to produce again a water, a stone, and a food. Now I'm using the other gazebo, so the socialize, to turn 2 water into 4 iron. Now I'm using 3. No, actually I still need a gold to actually buy the Maison Carrée. So I do think I will use this influence for the discuss politics. Since it's adjacent to level 2, I can use 4 same type resources to get 2 gold. And I can use gambling for another gold. So I'm paying 3 to get the Maison Carrée. I'm then paying 3 food to power all these cards. Actually, I don't need to power all of them. I need 14. That's 7. And it would be 8, but it's 15. If I do not power any of those, I will have not enough. So I'm just powering everything. That allows me to place this down, and I want to put that here. And that's 9 glory points, so that's 17. And stability is already maxed, so that's that. I don't think I will pay back the loan. I think it's the only one that we currently have, and we can have up to 2. But a strive card we need to get rid of, but we can't this turn definitely, and not in this round. So what's left is, if I want to buy anything, I don't think I will buy this, but this could trash a strive card from the discard pile. But I don't think I need that, so let's just forgo this. So I do want to use traders to once per turn pay 1 gold to get 5 iron. This is an on-influence ability. So I'm using this on the temple to get 1 more iron and 1 more stone. And I'm paying the 9 iron to also finish the Via Appia. This is also taken care of. And I do think I just want to use this now to get a gold, and then use the gambling on with the stone to get 1 more gold. So I'm at 3 at the end of turn. I think I'm leaving it at that. I'm getting enough influence back, and the gambling I probably want to leave be for the moment. So that's it for my last turn of the 3rd round. We do not get a resting bonus, but we do get a lot of influence back. Actually, I should use this to get it also back and get a stone, because I do feel I need the options where to put this. And we do not need or even want this conversion anymore, because we now need these resources. So this engine doesn't work anymore. So we are not replenishing, we are not drawing, we are advancing, and it ends the turn. So at the end of round, we, as usual, advance the cube to round 4, and we are back to turn 1. Then we cycle. At that point, I don't think it matters, although the deck is not that big, but I don't think we will get through it again. So we do get another technology card right away, the Roman Concrete, which we don't pick up. It's nice. The Imperator, the Art, a Ballista, and the Bathhouse, which is a huge card for industry. These are all cycled as well. And let's see, we have 2 level 2s here, 2 level 2s here. So we are just missing 1. So let's see. There's a Taberna, which gives capacity. And there's an Amphitheater, which gives stability. Then we have another Amphitheater, another Taberna, and a Castra. I think going for power is probably the easiest to max out, and it would give us another hand limit, so that's actually quite welcome. But it took us 5 cards to actually get there. So we now exhaust more deals, so this ends, and the only deal that's still ongoing is the 1 food deal here. All right, so then we shuffle, and then we are back to our first turn of the 4th round. Let's quickly look at the deck. I do think that's the only Strive and Loan we have, I hope. Yeah, so there's nothing else in there, and it's a huge deck. So it's 33 cards without them, so it's 35 with them. So with 8 turns, we have to play roughly 4 to 5 cards every turn to get through, which should not be a big deal. We should not play too fast. That might be more of an issue. All right, so I've cut the deck. Let's get 7 cards and see what our starting hand is. There's a Catapult. We are quite off position to kill this enemy, but maybe we should. A Physician, so just a starting card. Banking, Musician, so it could give us a lot of culture. Already an influence. Pottery, Mercuralia, so 2 starting cards, and the Oxen. Unfortunately, these are all the cards that would get rid of loans. But then again, we do not need to clear loans, so that's maybe not a big deal. So these are the 7 cards, but we do get our food. So 1 food we get. So I do think I want to move. And the most interesting cards for this are the starting cards, of course. This I find useless because it doesn't boost this, so it just saves you 1 resource, but it does not save you a card. And water is something that we want to preserve, so there's also nothing we want to use too freely. So I do think we use this to move. So since I'm already here, I'm influencing the Pantheon. I'm moving. I'm influencing the Temple. With the Temple, I'm putting an influence here. I'm moving to the capital. So that's the movement done here. That's the discard pile. With the Pantheon, I'm influencing the farm and the Table of Bacchus. I'm then using the influence, the blessing, to exhaust any number of influence on any developments, gain twice their production values. So I'm using this influence to get 2 water, 2 food, and 2 stone. I'm using the farm to get 2 food. Then I'm paying a gold to get 5 iron. I would have done this before, obviously. And then I'm using this to just produce 2 gold, because it's double the production value. And I do think I will spend this finally to get 2 more water. I'm then using the Pottery to move. That's another 3 movement. 2 of those bring me to this territory. And I'm then using the Catapult. Maybe I shouldn't put it on discard. For an iron. For 6 military, and I can attack an adjacent. It only has 6, so that's 1 glory point and 2 gold. And I don't have gambling anymore, but it doesn't matter, I think. So I've defeated all the enemies on the map. I would have a movement point left, but I'm not sure if I want to just sit here. Maybe I'm drawing the last strive card and I can just trash it. Actually, I could move on to here and just get water all the time. That would also be a good thing. What I think I do want to do is pay a food for 5 technology, not using anything here to trash, and just playing this card face down for 6. So I'm using my last trade deal on the free territory to get the water. But I do think with the banking I will just pay 1 gold to actually get 8 industry, and then just place the taberna, which costs me 3 gold. So I'm down to 2, but I can just place this. I've played the banking then. I think I will just place it here. So that's 5 more glory points and 2 capacity, which brings my movement up to 4 if I want to move again. And I do get this trade deal. I do think I'm willing to spend a gold to pick up this card here. But actually I'm not sure this is worthwhile because the only trade deal that's still open is a iron deal, and I really don't need that, and there's currently nothing I want to build with technology. So maybe I hold on to my gold. Maybe I'm too greedy here. I don't need to pick that up. I think at that point I'm leaving it at that. I can't trash a strife, but I do get a lot of influence back. So I do have a pile of 5 influence back. Replenishing the market means moving all these down, and I'm revealing another amphitheater. That's the 3rd one. And we draw a new hand, which is 6 cards because I'm still at 7 hand limit. Senator, Show of Force, Legionary, Discipline, so another standard card, Physician, another standard card, and a card that allows me to ready a Chain of Influence. So it's 5, 6, 7. We do get our food and the water deal we just added. So we are on our 2nd turn. I skipped this after drawing, yes, so yeah, 2nd turn of the 4th round. All right, so I do think I want to use the temple again, so the spread influence to influence the Maison Carré and the Pantheon. And from the Pantheon, I'm influencing the temple, and from there I'm influencing the Temple of Bacchus and the farm. So that spreads all my influence. Actually, I have to pay here. I didn't notice that. So I have to pay this now, and I hope I could pay it before. So I'm subtracting 2. I hope I wasn't at 0. This is something I definitely have to look up. Are there any other immediate effects I have to take care of? Actually, the farm has seasonal rains. Spend 2 to gain 1. That seems like something that you could do, not something you have to. Because this says you must pay, and this is just you can't spend 2 to gain. Which is actually nice, which we should do. So I can pay this to get a food, and I can actually use 2 industry to do something else. For example, to get rid of an amphitheater. Well, actually I have to get rid of this. So because it's 2 industry, this is 3. Not wanting to pile on errors here. So I did spend, or I did pay this for the last time I activated. I hope I wasn't at 0. I have to look that up, otherwise I need to fix this somehow. But I'm not going to look that up now. So we try to just finish the game from here. So I use this influence here again. Exhaust any number of influence on any developments, gain twice their production. So definitely the Pantheon. That's 2 water, 2 food, 2 stone. The farm, that's another 2 food. This temple I need to re-influence later, but this temple is not actually that important because I can just use it via this. So it's also 2 stone and 2 iron. And I don't feel like I need to pay gold for iron or stone. I don't need that, so I'm just using this to produce 2 gold. I'm then paying 6 food to work on Trajan's Market and 6 water, brings it down to 2, to working on the Aqua Julia. I'm then paying 4 gold to buy the Castra, paying 2 iron to get 9 military. I could even get 11, but 9 is enough. There's these 2 cards. I think this was one last turn. I should really discard this. And I can now place the Castra. I do have to build the southern border, I'm just realizing, so I should really do that. So I'm placing that here. That's 7 more points. So I'm up to 30. 2 power. Maxes out this bar, so we are now at 8. We're getting this back. So I'm using the Physician to move. Actually, I should have exhausted this with the Maison Carré for another 2 stone and another 2 iron, because I'm moving 3. That brings me here. And then with the Ostia Anticar, I can ready the influence here, here, and here, which means that I'm exhausting this again to just get double the production here, which is 2 water, 2 food, and 2 stone, which is not even possible. So I'm going from 9 to 5 and then up to 6 to just get a gold. And I think that's it for the turn. So I don't get a resting bonus. I do get my influence back, replenishing the market. And at that point, I do have enough level 2s. That's already 4, 5, 6. So there might be a reason to just go for level 1s, but let's just stick with level 2s. So there's a forum and another Castra. So we draw now up to 8, so that's 6 cards. There's the water wheel, hot oil, portable abacus, Princess Civitatis, that's quite interesting, a fur trader, and a public appearance. So advance the turn cards. We are in turn 3 of 8 of round 4, and we do get a water and a food. All right, so I'm using my influence to just influence the Maison Carré, and using the temple for the Pantheon and the gazebo. I need to pay food, I must not forget this. I'm using the influence here to discuss politics. So 4 same type resources for 2 gold. I'm then using this card for a stone to pay 2 to pick up any card. I'm picking up the bathhouse, which is a good culture card. But I have 4 industry as well. So I'm now using the Pantheon to influence the farm. So for 2 industry, I'm getting a food. And I think I'm influencing the Temple of Bacchus again. So that's all the influence. So I'm again exhausting this to exhaust this. Get 2 water, 2 food, 2 stone. Another 2 food, 2 gold. I'm paying 7 food to work on Trajan's Market. Then I'm using the Port of Abacus for a food. Ready to influence. I'm readying these and exhausting them right away to produce another 2 water, 2 food, 2 stone. I'm then using these 2 cards. So for 1 water, spend an influence on development and provide stability. So on the temple to gain 8 culture, and 3 is 11 culture. And with 3 gold, I'm buying an amphitheater. And for 11, I can just place that. So I'm placing that here. That's 7 glory points. Stability doesn't do anything. I get this also back. I think at that point I will just end the turn for now. But I do probably just toss these cards here because I don't need the military anymore. So I'm holding on to these, but just getting rid of the starting card and the hot oil. So no resting bonus, but I do get all the influence back. Replenish the market means there's the astronomy here. This all moves down. And there's another 9 victory point building Circus Maximus that needs industry and produces food and water, which is nice. So we are drawing 6 cards, up to 8. So there's a bathhouse that we just bought. The Civil War, the Show of Force. I will just discard those. There's nothing to think about. Formation, Orator, and Probitus. We advance to turn 4 and we get a water and 1 food. Alright, so I will just influence the Maison Carré where I'm standing. A card like this I will just use for movement, but I could actually get resources with this, maybe I should do that. So I'm using the formation to move. 1 movement brings me to the temple, which I will influence, which influences the Pantheon and the gazebo. So I'm paying 4 same type resources, let's say iron, to get 2 gold. Then I'm using the Pantheon to influence the Temple of Bacchus. I have to pay a food again, I almost forgot for this. And I'm influencing the amphitheater here. Then I'm using this. Actually, I don't think I need that much culture, so let's just pay the 8 here and be done with the Aqua Giulia. So now I can use this to use this. That's 2 water, 2 food, 2 stone, 2 gold, 2 stone, 2 iron. And then I'm using this to ready this influence and to produce another water, another food, and another stone. So I can use 3 gold, brings me down to 1 to buy the amphitheater. So I'm needing 11 culture. This is currently sitting at 8, so I'm needing 3 more. I really should play that. I should pay more attention to this. I screwed it up twice already, but I think at that point it's not that important actually. So this will just give me 8, and if I pay a water, that's 4. So these cards are played. I don't think we need this kind of efficiency, so I have another amphitheater. I will put that here. So I'm also getting this back. That's another 7 points. Stability doesn't do anything. At that point, we only need capacity and population. I don't think I'm picking anything up, so let's leave it at that. So no resting bonus, and we just collect all of our influence again. So all the 6 we have. We replenish the market. There's a forum, put to capacity, industry. We draw up to 8 cards, so that's 5 more. So the social event, Onagas, a starting card, alone, Gallia, and 10 leather, so a lot of technology. But we are in turn 5 now of 8 of the 4th round, and we do get a water and a food. And I do think I want to use 8 food to finish Trajan's Market. So let's see, we need to get rid of strife cards. In the deck there should be really nothing, no loan, no strife, nothing. Yeah, there isn't anything. So we need to keep that as a reminder that we need to get rid of the last strife card that's in the deck. This we have fully fulfilled. We have defeated the enemies and the army. So we did not use that at the end of the last turn. So let's put it here, fully fulfilled. No more than 2 loans is definitely, we have nothing in the deck. We have 1 in the hand, and 4 active lasting, we did have that. Maxing out 3 tracks we already have, and 9 cards, I think it's not an issue. 5 level 2s, we are already at 6 or something like this, or even more. So it's already 7. So we did build everything here. Develop all territories along southern borders, we did do that. At least 8 developments not adjacent to the capital. That's 4 here, 4 there, more than fulfilled. And this was completely fulfilled anyway. So the only thing that's left is really clearing out the last strife card, and we can think about the victory points. All right, so we should get rid of this loan probably. We don't have to, but why get a negative score? But I think I'm influencing the temple, and with this we do influence the Maison Carré. I can't actually do, but I can do the Pantheon and the gazebo. And with the Pantheon, I do definitely the Temple of Bacchus and the barracks. And maybe I just keep the influence for now. So I'm using up to twice per turn to turn these 4 iron into 2 gold. I'm using this influence for up to 2 times pay 2 iron or 2 stone to gain 1 gold. If you have a loan in hand, which I do, gain 2 times the gold. So I'm using this twice with stone, so I'm back to 6, but I'm getting 4 gold. It's up to 7. And at that point I'm just repaying this for 3. That's nice. And then I'm paying for same type resources, since adjacent to level 2, for another 2 gold. And I'm using this to produce 1 water, 1 food, 1 stone. So I'm discarding a card to gain 2 resources of the card's color, so I'm getting 2 food. Maybe I should have used the Mesonkori after all. I'm starting to get sloppy, I think. But the reason you can imagine is that I'm already through with the game, basically. So there's a lot of technology, a lot of culture. But everything we can build is now is industry or military. So how many cards do we have left? It's just 6. And we do have a few turns left. So I think I will just pay a water to draw 2 cards. So there's the strife. That's nice. So we spend another water for 4 culture and returning the strife card. And I think at that point we fulfill this. But let's play till the end. But I don't think I can do that much. I can move probably. And with the chariot plus 2 movement, we will actually have a movement of 6. So I think I'm leaving the temple. What else do we want to influence? I don't think it matters too much. Maybe just go via the Popina. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going here. We pay this and we influence it after all. But that's it for the turn. There's nothing else to do, I think, currently. So we get a food for the resting bonus. We get the influence back. I think I'm leaving the rest influenced. We replenish, but we didn't buy anything. So we draw. Since we have a hand limit of 8, it's 5 more cards. Actually, we only have 4, so that will be the last turn. So we are drawing everything. The trade, we really didn't even need to fulfill everything. Merchant, engineer, and the longship. So that ends the round anyway, but we advance it. So we could have, after this, 2 more turns, which we do not need because we're already through the deck. So that will be the last turn. So we get income. That's a food and water. And then we are in the final turn. And again, there's nothing much left to do. We can look for more victory points. For example, this one here would be 9 points, Circus Maximus. So there would be industry here. The engineer here, that's 8. So that won't be enough, obviously. But actually this is 5 more cards, so that should be more than enough. So I do think we just buy this for 4. Then we play this for 4. Play this with another resource. Let's pick water for another 4. That's 8. We need 12. That's 6 more. Actually, we only have 5. All right, what we can do is actually use the temple here to influence the Maison Carré. This costs 1 here. And the Pantheon. This is owned. This is not what I wanted. Well, the Pantheon can now use influence the Taberna. So now we are talking. So now that's 5 industry. We already have 8. That's 13. That's actually more than enough. So we can place this. So let's put this here. That's 9 points. So 6 brings it up to 50 again. And 3 more brings it up to 103. And it does give us a capacity. So we have maxed out a 4th track. I'm not sure anything else matters at that point, at least for victory points. Could try to build something else, but not really. I think I will just leave it be at that point. That's the end of the game after the 6th turn of the 4th round with 8 possible rounds. So we didn't need to. Let's sort out the deck. So these are the 16 starting cards. And we do have 18 advanced attribute cards, it seems. So let's go through this one more time. We did clear out all strife cards. We do not have any strife or loans. And we did build this. We did build 4 developments without using a boosted action, and we built this. We built at least 8 developments that are not adjacent to the capital. So we built 6, 9, 14, 18. 4 of which are adjacent. That's 14 which are not. That's more than enough. And we built the road. We developed all territories along the southern border and we built a wall. We did build 3 level 2s here, 1 level 2 here, that's 4, 2 level 2s here, that's 6, and 4 level 2s here, that's 10. So it's even double the amount that we needed. We maxed out 4 tracks, not 3, and we have 18 cards, not 9. That's even double the amount. We did have at least 4 active agreements and no more than 2 loans. We have none. We defeated 5 enemies. We defeated all of them, and we defeated the barbarian army. So that's it, folks. So that's a 8 full edict game. And as for the victory points, as I said, the goal is kind of arbitrary, but you could say, let's take the largest amounts. That would be 25, 20, and I think there was a 90, actually 2 19s. But that's not even 100, because there's 5, 6, and 6 missing. That's 17 less. So even if we take 1 more, that's 101. And we do have 103. So we even would have the 5 highest victory points if you want to make that a goal. All right, I think that went quite well. There is a lot of AP. You have to think a lot. And I did lose focus at some point. I did not make it as efficient as possible. There were cards, for example, that give you culture for each ready influence on cards that give stability or something like this, and I didn't use that twice because I was always so caught up in this Maison Carré play where you exhaust with blessing any number of influences for double the production. But you can see that the gazebos really were the MVPs for the iron and stone production, and once the buildings were done, I could shift to just a production and even doubling it, or you can actually ready adjacent. There's a level 1 building that can ready adjacent influences, so you can easily produce twice at least, I think. And with deals that are ongoing, there's already almost 3 per turn. That should be enough if you have so many turns. And actually this time I did need the 4th round, of course. I couldn't do it in 3. But I did need only 6 turns of the 8, so 2 we didn't even play because of the high hand limit. And since we played all the cards, we might not have been that efficient actually. We did not use the last 2 turns. And this would be more resources, and with the influence play, a lot of more gold, resource and so on. So I think there was a lot of buffer. So I hope I did not screw up with the procession that you actually must pay food, that I wasn't actually at 0. I compensated later, and I think I paid all the other usages of Maison Carré, but I will look it up in the review, of course, and make sure that I'm not doing any mistake. But it's hard to keep track of these things, especially how much you already activated. People have pointed out in the forums on BGG that it might be nice to have tokens that how many times you have actually used something, because it's sometimes once per turn, sometimes twice per turn. And if you're not being very systematic about it, you can actually screw it up quite easily. All right, but that means really that with Augustus, with the foreign trade, with Agrippa, that makes it easier to build them. So building without powering is actually easier. The really only downside is that it costs more the developments, which is okay if you have a gold engine. And as I said, the Civil War is actually something that helps you getting gold, so it's not a big deal actually. So it's all plus, I think. And with this leader at least, I could do 8 of the 10 edicts. I'm not sure if 2 turns is enough to also have these hardships of the remaining 2 edicts. That's something I might try, but I'm not sure I want to, actually. Maybe I'm going to a different leader. Let me know what you think about the game. Please let me know if I still screw up something that I did not even notice about the game, that I'm misplaying something horribly wrong. Or if you find any oversights or mistakes, I always want to know about them as well. I will look myself, of course, when I review this. But I'm quite happy that this worked on the first try. This is my 5th game of Rome that I ever played. Again, I'm a Mage Knight veteran, so I'm used to boosting cards and resource management and making the most of my hand and managing hand limit and so on, and using the offers and strategizing about the offers. So I have a lot of experience with this, even though it's just my 5th game of Rome. So let me know what you think, and see you in the next game.